hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey, man, I do what I do.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. We are in for a special broadcast tonight. It's been a minute. I haven't been here because I have been busy. You all who noticed the special accessory to my wardrobe and who follow my other social media pages, you know exactly why I've been busy. Okay, Uncle D has been out here fighting for my life. You understand me? I've been out here rolling and tussling and fighting everybody that I can so that I could get what is called a purple belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was awarded my purple belt today. I'm very happy about that. It has been a 4-year journey. It took me approximately 635 hour-long rolling sessions over the past 4 years. And when I say rolling, I mean grappling and fighting. I literally have been, look, I've had shoulders dislocated, elbow joints dislocated, tendons stretched, snapped. Hell, I've been put to sleep about 5 times over the past 4 years and still had to finish my session after I woke up. So it's been real, man. It's been real. It's been a great journey, and I'm looking forward to proceeding on in my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu journey. As you all know, I'm an avid amateur boxer. I love the martial arts. I'm also a green belt in Kaju Kimbo, which is a form of martial arts started in Hawaii. You know, this has just been a great thing, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to rock my purple belt for a little while. Anyway, family, we're here today on a special occasion. We are here because the critics, shout out to all the critics. I want you critics to know that at the appropriate time, you will be invited in. Critics, just so you know, I have critics, and my critics are numerous. You know, I've had to, unfortunately, deal with these folks. Now, let me just point this out for you all. I'm an advocate for black men, okay? I've always been an advocate for black men. I position myself on social media in that position. And when I started this journey over a decade ago, there was not a lot of black men who were advocating for black men. Now, I mean, it's saturated. The market is saturated. And, you know, it's really not as necessary as it was to get the man's point of view out. The reason Kevin Samuels and I at some point clicked up is because Brother Kevin was simply trying to explain to the ladies, you know, what black men, what their position was and where they were coming from. Shout out to the late, great Kevin Samuels. This is a photograph taken, I guess, my gosh, this would have been his birthday night, that last birthday he had before he passed away in March. This is down in Miami where I did an interview. And we're still working on that lost interview. But the brother, of course, you all know, Brother Kevin was simply trying to help ladies understand, I guess, the viewpoint of the high value men. And keep in mind, the brother only catered to high value men. Okay. And this is men who made over six figures for multiple years, who are useful for other people, who, you all know the criteria. But the bottom line is, man, the brother was just trying to help sisters understand, and not just sisters, but women in general understand the position of Black men. But now, you got brothers who are speaking out on that. It's become very popular. You say that. Become very, very popular. So, there's really no need for me to continue to do that. It's not like I'm the only one out there doing it. But of course, I will continue to do it. And I do that because I am a Black man myself. It makes sense, right? Now, as of late, because of the political climate, I've taken it upon myself to beat back some of these horrible stereotypes and try to present as an advocate, try to present a different viewpoint and advocate on behalf of all Black people, foundational Black American people, specifically advocate. Okay, advocate means lawyer to some people. If we could just put it down there where the cows can eat it. Advocate. Okay, advocate means I'm on these people's side. So no matter what you say, I'm going to be on their side. That's what an advocate is. Now, I've done such a good job being an advocate for Black men, and I think many of you all will agree that I've done such a good job that I have so many haters that say, "Oh my God, he's such a horrible person. He hates this, he hates that." That's what they say about me. And it means I'm doing a good job. I basically let the world know that Black men have a voice, that we're good fathers, that we take care of our children, that we're sexually responsible. And I base that on things simply easy to quantify, like contraceptive use, children that we have, our marriage rate, which is actually higher than our counterparts. And so I just use the criteria. I just basically hit them upside the head with the criteria. There was an issue confronting the passport bros, and we had a lot of our lovely ladies who were saying, "Oh, that's horrible. That's despicable. You're going overseas to have, sexual intercourse with these women and you're paying." And then I did what I do as an advocate for Black men. And I pointed out, well, there is a whole book dedicated to the adventures that Black American women are taking in the Caribbean, and specifically in Jamaica. You all remember that? You do, don't you? I know you do. And so, these are the sort of things I do. I'm kind of the person that delivers a proverbial arrow to the heart of the criticism, and soon thereafter it folds up. You understand? Now, lately, I've, because of the political climate, the racially charged political climate, and whatever side of the spectrum you fall on, we can all recognize that our politicians have done a very poor job at quelling down the racial tension. They've increased the racial tension, and now you got people have aligned themselves with one party or another, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And so now we have a lot of racial tension, and unfortunately, you have the certain individuals in our country and around the world who've taken an opportunity to try to castigate and disrespect Black people. And, now I've acted as an advocate for Black people. So when a certain group of people point out the arrest record or incarceration rate of Black people, well, then I will point out the incarceration rate of those people. And I'm doing a good job at it. And that's why they're mad. Now, there's also a group of people who have a problem with me being an advocate for my Black American people, my foundational Black American people, otherwise known as the American Negro. Okay? Now, before we were Black American, or before we were foundational Black American, before we were African American, we were the American Negro. Okay. And when I said American Negro, everybody knows exactly what that is. Those are the people who can trace their heritage and lineage to a time here in America during and before the system of American slavery. And it's very easy to determine. What that means is you don't have relatives who were here in 1860. Okay? You don't. You might be Black from the diaspora. You might have had relatives who were colonized. You may have had relatives who were enslaved. But you are not an American Negro. You are a Nigerian, you are a Ghanaian, you are a Senegalese, you are a Jamaican, you are a Trinidadian, whatever you are. Okay? Now, ethnically, there's a difference between ethnicity, family, and nationality. Okay? Ethnicity has to do with what we call race. Okay? Your nationality has to do with the nation that you're from. Okay? Your nation typically denotes the country that you are from. If I say South African, well, some of you might say, well, those are Black people. Well, what about the white people who are South African? That's their nationality. Ethnically, they may be of European descent, but then again, Europe is a continent. So we can break it down a little further. We're talking about race. We could go to the old school Negro, Caucasoid, Mongoloid, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And I say all that to say foundational Black Americans are a hodgepodge of people ethnically. We have African, of course. We have what we call Native American or Indigenous American. And of course, there's European. And then, of course, for many of us, there's also Asian. Okay? Culturally, those people could very well be foundational Black American and have the same ethnicity as a person from Jamaica or even Africa, especially in those places that were colonized. Okay? But culturally, there's a difference. Culturally, we are a certain group of people. Our culture defines us, our ethnicity defines us. Our nationality is American because that is our country. Now, that seems to be a simple concept to understand, but a lot of people don't. Now, here's the thing. A lot of folks already say that we are divided, don't they? A lot of you, I want you gentlemen and ladies to go to Africa, especially you all who are American, and go tell them you're an African. And they will say, no, you're not an African, or no, you're not a Nigerian. They'll tell you a lot of different things. But what they won't tell you is that you're one of them. So when people, my critics, say that my rhetoric surrounding delineation, and the delineation is secondary to a greater point. And that greater point is reparations, which seems to have struck a nerve with a lot of people. Reparations, when I say reparations, I'm talking about reparative justice from those African nations or those successor states that participated in slavery. Okay, but nevertheless, my whole point of delineation is so that we can establish who is and who is not entitled. Now, largely, a lot of people have an issue with the disrespect that a lot of people who are of the African diaspora bring to the United States and direct towards Black Americans or foundational Black Americans or the American Negro, however you want to discuss it, however you want to choose to describe it. But the bottom line is, family, Black Americans don't like that. Typically, we've embraced other groups of people. We have always been accepting of other groups of people, whether they be of the African diaspora or Latino or Asian or whatever, the Irish even. We've always accepted other people. And we don't receive that reciprocity. Now, there was a time when I had planned to go to Ghana. This was 2019. And like many African people of African people of African descent here in the United States, we fantasize about Africa. It was our longing to go home. And the problem is, stories began to come back, and you know, the difficulty that our people, when I say our people, the American Negro, the foundational Black Americans, were having in getting visas and purchasing land, and even in situations where we purchased land and the land was taken back from us. These are horrible things. And so, me being who I am, I said, well, that can't stand. You can't take advantage of my people and think I won't do something about it. Now, I've always had in my mind and understood that Africans played a part in slavery. And I'm still talking about the critics, and I'm going to put the link in the chat room shortly. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the link in the chat room now because it's going to get hot. Okay, it's going to get hot up in here. All right, the link is in the chat room. So all my critics, and I know invariably there'll be people who will just want to come in and chat. But for the most part, the critics, you're welcome to come in, and I'm going to lay down the criticisms in a second. But as a means to an end, and I want you all to listen very carefully because a lot of folks will not pick this up. I think I established very early on that I am an attorney. I practice on a high level. I practice on a level where typically what's that dispute? Hundreds of millions of dollars. So I've seen the best that America has to offer when it comes to attorneys. I operate the way they do. I see how they operate. I've been in those rooms. I've been in those courtrooms. I've been in those conference rooms. I've been at those tables. Okay, again, the link is in the chat room. Please join in. All the critics, people, join in. Nevertheless, when you are negotiating with someone, you always negotiate from a position of power. You don't negotiate from a position of weakness. You're not to be begging people to give you what you want. And you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate for, okay? My people, the American Negro, the foundational Black American, the freedmen, Black Americans, African Americans, you know who we're talking about. My people desire, some of them, to go back to Africa, and they want to be treated with respect. How do I, as a Black American who loves his people, how do I help facilitate that? Well, my people have been disrespected by Africans for centuries. What do I mean by that? Yeah, I haven't sent any boats to come over here to get us. When your individuals come to this country, many of you are very disrespectful. You use us, you purposely. We have heard that your parents and other people tell you to stay away from those Black people, those Black Americans, even though the only reason you're here in the first place is because of the fight that Black Americans have to, allow for you to immigrate here in the 1965 Immigration Act. Nevertheless, you come over here, you're disrespectful. When we go over there, our women get taken advantage of. They're the subject of a lot of fraud. Some kind of way, after all these years, immigration is still difficult for people who are of African descent. So what do we need to do? We need to get some leverage over these countries like Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana. How do we do that? Well, in my business, the best way to get leverage from somebody is the threat of taking money from them. And whether you like it or not, it is my position that the African countries, the successor states of what is now the Congo, Nigeria, Senegal, Togo, Benin, Ghana, Nigeria, they owe reparations to Black people because of their participation in the slave trade. That's my position. And it is just a matter of having the proper legislation put in place that will grant the American Negro, the freedman, the right or standing to sue those African nations. Now let's dig into it a little deeper because I need you all to understand. Slavery was legal. Every country in the world has participated in slavery. Pretty much every group of people on this planet ethnically have descendants who are enslaved, not just white, not just black, not just anything. And it's not germane to Black Americans. It is not. However, in 1808, slavery was outlawed. And there were ships like the Clotilda and the Wanderer that still brought slaves to this country. The Clotilda specifically, their descendants are still in Alabama. It's well documented. There was a criminal case that went to trial related to the two people who participated, the captain and the person who sponsored this. And the case was they were found not guilty. But the whole point being that those people who were picked up on the west coast of Africa and brought to Alabama, they still exist. And this was after slavery had ended. This was after there was a law in the books by the American government and peace treaties between the United States of America and Great Britain that said it was illegal. So an illegal act took place, and in furtherance of that illegal act, people, or in continuation of that illegal act, people were taken from the continent of Africa under the behest of the leader at the time. And I implore you to Google the Clotilda, and it'll, even on Wikipedia, you don't have to go that deep. They were bought, they were sold, they were brought here to the United States of America in 1808. They were sold, and the descendants are still there in Alabama right now. There's a lawsuit there. Who will we sue? Well, you can always sue whoever you want to sue. But if I'm going to hold someone responsible, I'm not just going to hold the person who purchased the illegal goods, but I'm also going to hold the person who stole the illegal goods, the person who removed these Africans who were later brought to the United States and became American Negroes. What about the land that they inherited or that they had at the time? What happened to that? What about the wealth that they would otherwise have? What happened to that? Are we just supposed to dismiss the fact that there were Black people who existed in the continent of Africa, particularly on the West Coast, who had land, who had their own farms, who had their own real estate? Who has that land now? Why can't the descendants of foundational Black Americans go back to that land? Well, it's because the countries of Ghana and Nigeria and Senegal and Congo won't give you the right to go without so much red tape. So how is it even without paying some exorbitant amount of money? So how is it that we're supposed to relocate? Because many of my people want to go back. Many of my foundational Black American brothers and sisters, many of my American Negro brothers and sisters want to go back to Africa, but you won't let them. So me being in the position that I'm in, I'm going to make you by threatening you with $1 trillion lawsuits. And see, the idea of getting to wander, and I don't want to go into law professor mode here, but the rules of civil procedure, the things that you do in the law, are not necessarily to accomplish the goal that you think. It would be great to get $1 trillion, wouldn't it, family? Would somebody type $1 trillion? It would be great to get $1 trillion in reparations from anybody, the American government, Europe, I don't care who, it would be great, but what do we really want? Huh? What do we really want? What we really want is to be made whole. What we really want is our land back. We really want free passage. We want to go back, to be able to go back to Africa, to get away from this mess that we have going on in the United States if we want to. So how do we force these African nations to let us back. We said, well, here's what's going to happen. Let's negotiate. We've convinced the American government to sign into law legislation that gives us permission to sue the successor states. Shout out to TKOB. Thank you for the super sticker. We've convinced the American government to put into legislation a law that gives people who were bought and sold on the African continent after 1808, when it became illegal, permission to sue these successor states. And when I say successor states, what I'm saying is, and I hate this question, please don't be the idiot to ask this question. Well, those countries didn't exist at the time. That's what they say, right? They were kingdoms. They didn't exist at the time. Therefore, you can't sue Africa because those countries didn't exist. Well, they have something called successor state. And whether it was a kingdom or a fiefdom or whatever it is, the land was taken over by what is called some sort of national country or whatever. England, Germany was a bunch of conglomerates at the time. So how are you going to sue Germany? It wasn't even a country. Europe was a kingdom. Now it's not. So it's changed form, but it's the same land. England is the successor. What we have now is a successor state. What you have in Africa, in which was formerly the kingdom of, I don't know, in Togo, Benin, you have a successor state there, and they're still responsible. Just because you sell your house doesn't make the debt go away, does it? Just because you sell your company, the company that purchases your company, whether it owes a bunch of, the IRS doesn't care. You bought the company, you pay the taxes. This is your problem now. Those people in Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Togo, Benin, the Congo, they took over that country. You pay the debt. No problem. Successor state liability. It is a very easy concept to understand. It is part of international law. It is not hard at all to figure that out. Please don't ask the stupid question. Please be the person that says those countries didn't exist at the time. Don't be that person. Please don't do that. You bring down the level of the conversation. Now, the other issue. The truth is, most folks just have a problem with foundational Black Americans not only delineating, but actually saying, well, you know, not only are we going to delineate, even though, as I said earlier, whether you're a Jamaican or a Trinidadian, a Ghanaian, Nigerian, you don't claim Black Americans as members of your nation, do you? You purposely separate yourself. I'm not like them. That's what you say. You purposely say that. So every other group is delineated. Fine. You really don't. They have a problem with that because it doesn't allow them to hide behind the political cover that foundational Black Americans bring. But the problem that they really have is me coming up with this notion. Shout out to my man, MS Delta Guy. Thank you so much. They really have a problem with me coming up with this idea that we could really sue these people, hold them hostage, and say, unless you give us the land that we would have otherwise had your ancestors not conjured up these false wars just so you could sell us to Europeans. That's the problem that they have. Now we're getting down to money. Now we're getting down to land. Money, land, and power. That's the problem that they have. Now, these same folks don't necessarily have a problem with the Chinese coming over there and colonizing them. They didn't have a problem with the Portuguese or anybody else, but they definitely had a problem with us Black Americans doing it. Now, again, the link is in the chat room. Dear critics, the link is in the chat room. Okay, don't run now. Come on in and let's have this conversation that you all have been dying to have. Let's come on in and talk it out. I will let you speak. Don't be perverse. Don't be profane. Come on in. Let's talk. But largely, this is the problem that they have because some Black American had the notion, some Black dude, some Black man in America had the nerve to come up with this idea that we can force Africa to those African nations who participated in the slave trade to do the thing they should have done centuries ago. And that is to restore us and give us our citizenship and give us our rights and our land and our wealth in Africa. We don't want 40 acres and a mule in America. Now, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but we don't want 40 acres and a mule here. We tried that. And we did very well when we had our own land and businesses and such. And then white folks got angry in Red Summer in 1990. They got fired up and they took it all back. We are not safe here. Anybody with good sense, anybody that's looking around at the political landscape right now, where you have these wild, crazy white survivalists running around saying all kinds of stuff, trying to conjure up a war, talking about they have black fatigue. Clearly, we are not safe here. And many of us are looking to move anyway. You see? That's what's going on. My people, shout out to Alexander Patterson, my people, not all, but my people would love to have somewhere else to go. And you all have a problem with it. So I am going to force you to do it. I'm going to threaten you with lawsuits and the power of the American government and the legal system that we have, and we're going to take what is rightfully ours. We're going to take your oil after we get a judgment. We're going to take your diamonds. We're going to set up embargoes. We're going to use the might of the American government and the American military, which you can't do anything about, to take back what you helped steal from us when white folk came to our countries, which are our countries just as much ours as yours. And you decide to manufacture a war and kidnap us and sell us to the Portuguese and whoever else wanted to buy us. That's what you did. You did that. You're going to take all you Africans, you're going to take your talking to. You're going to take your talking to. So that's why I put the idea out there. Where are my critics? Where are you at? Come on in. Come on over here. Go, everybody. I want you to go on the internet and find everybody that's had these things to say and share this link with them right now. Because this is what they have to say. They have all these things. You got all this smoke. I'm right here, baby. You can come tell me all the reasons why what I'm saying is wrong. Why what I'm saying is divisive. We were divided when your ancestors gathered us up, marched us to the shore, sometimes selling us 12 times from the inland parts of Africa all the way till we got to the shores of Africa. You sold us 12 times. That's when we were divided, when you divided us from our land, when you divided us from our families, when you divided us from our names, and then the white folk and Europeans further divided us from our culture and our language and our heritage and our collective memory. That's what you did. Now, many of you are saying stuff like, oh, well, Africans don't have anything. Yes, you do. You got plenty. You got plenty. You have land, you got diamonds, you got oil. Nigeria's got one of the most lucrative oil businesses in Africa. We should have some of that. We should have some of that, shouldn't we? You brought this on yourself. Now, to my Caribbean brothers and sisters, many of you like, very disappointed. And understand this, I think I can speak on behalf of most foundational Black Americans when I tell you we are very, 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 shout out to my girl, Penelope, what's up? How you doing? Hey, baby. We're very disappointed in you all. You should know better. Caribbeans, Jamaicans, Haitians, you all should know better. You have no business coming to the United States speaking ill of foundational Black Americans. It's very, very disappointing. You come over here, you rest safely under the umbrella the foundational Black Americans have provided. You hide amongst us. And as you're hiding amongst us, you have the nerve to say disparaging things about us, not just to yourselves, but also you will go behind us and say horrible things to white people. They use you as a mouthpiece to speak ill of Black Americans, our culture, how we behave. And look, we have issues. I am not going to sit up here. I was one of the main ones very early on who pointed out the cultural issues that we have. But instead of helping, you pile on. You give the white supremacists ammunition to further disparage us. Because at the end of the day, you all know you can always go home, at least in your mind. But you come, you reap the benefit of the sacrifices the foundational Black Americans have made. The American Negro, for y'all who don't like the term FBA, you disparage what FBA's American Negroes have done. You belittle what we've done. You all will swear up and down that all we did was beg. That's what Africans say about us. You're big. You never talk about the fight that we put up as Black Seminole Indians and over 100 slave rebellions that we put forth to try to free ourselves. You never talk about that. But you purposely say those things to try to disparage us. We don't go to Africa talking bad about Africa. There's not enough of us going to Africa to talk reckless about you. All we do is go places and build. We love Africa. In my generation, we look past what we saw going on with the famine and all those things in East Africa and the revolutions and the genocide, and we still embraced Africa. It was the fight that the Black National Congressional Congress put up that helped stop apartheid in South Africa. Many Black Americans couldn't point South Africa out to you on the map at the time, but we still had your back. And we forced our legislators and our congressmen and our political machine went to work for you. And what do you do when you come to our country? See, here's the thing you have to understand, family. I need y'all to understand something. So in 1965 is when they really started letting Africans come into this country. Before that, it was 50,000 Africans in America before 1950. 50,000 Africans who were born in Africa and came in. Not 500,000, 50,000. I believe I said 50,000. Maybe I had a zero, but it wasn't a lot. After 1965, Africans began to come to this country because it was illegal, because for years before that, it was very xenophobic immigration policy. They didn't want brown, Black. They had just put a million Mexicans. Some of them were actually American citizens, sent them to Mexico. They call it Operation Wetback. Sent them back. Only 9% of the population in the United States was Black. You had less than 1% Asian, less than 2% what we call Mexican or Latino. Everybody else is Black and white. It was Black people in our civil rights fight that even allowed folk to start coming over here. So the Nigerians came. Around about 1980 and 1990, they showed up. And we were happy to have them. We like your food. Well, not all of us. Some of us didn't like your food. But the bottom line is, we were happy that we thought you were going to come over here. We was going to be brothers. And we were going to have like Wakanda in Chicago. You know? That's what we thought. We thought our brothers would come. We got the Black medallion. We thought you were going to teach us some stuff. We had black folk was buying all kind of incense and dashikis and them those wooden furniture type things that Africans call. I mean, we was with it. Back to Africa movement. Brothers had African medallions on, red, black, and green. You know, it was the thing, man. And all you all have done in that time period, not all, but the vast majority, is just cause more division and more strife. Instead of saying, you know what, these are our lost brothers and sisters, you say, oh no, I'm not like them. I'm not like those Black Americans. I'm not like those Akatas. We're not like them. We have culture. As if we don't have a culture. It's the culture that has allowed us to survive for over 400 years in this country. That's our culture. It's the culture of survival. So forgive us for the shortcomings in our culture. We've had to be violent because we live in a violent society of people who have been trying to eradicate us since we stopped working for free. So forgive me. On behalf of all the foundational Black Americans, forgive us for being the rose that grew up through the concrete. Our scars and scratches, our broken limbs. Forgive us for our bruised petals. But instead of coming to the United States with understanding, you came over here with disrespect. And so, you know, here we are in 2025, and you know what, brothers are like, man, and the sisters are like, man, forget that, man. We're not gonna kiss these people's butt anymore. We're just not gonna do it. They've already delineated. They told us we're not like them. They've treated us bad when we come to their country. So you know what? We are just going to what is called delineate. We are going to designate ourselves. We're not going to be African American because there's too many Africans in this country. Since 1965, they went from less than 1% to nearly 25% of the people that you call Black American are either of African or Caribbean descent, first generation and second generation. That is a huge number. We, as foundational Black Americans, are still only 9%. But if you add on the number of Black people who have come from the diaspora, that's how we get to the 13 or 14%, depending on the way you cut it. That's just reality. Okay? That's just the reality of what we're dealing with. And so it's a lot of you all. And now that you've gotten together, you got a lot to say. Now, again, this is called Don't Run Now. Where are my critics? I have been talking for almost an hour now. Where are you all? Cam up. I want to see your faces. Cam up. Come on now. Come on in and get it. Ladies. Ladies. Lovely ladies. I want you ladies to come to the front of the room now. Come on in here. Come on. You. I'm talking to you. The link is in the chat room. I want you to come to the front. Now, some years ago, when I was telling you that our Black American sisters are being targeted by the criminal justice system, y'all got mad at me. When I pointed out the fact that these violent tendencies that foundational Black American women have, not just founded, but these violent tendencies that our women have, because it's not just Black women, but that's really all I'm concerned about, it's going to land you in jail. They're going to start treating you like they treated Black men. Do you all remember that? Remember when I said that? Huh? I said they're going to start in court because women make better prisoners. You're not as big, you're not as strong, you're not as much of a violent threat. You make better prisoners. I knew at that time that the prison industrial complex was looking for more bodies to put in. Black men are just, look, we are just not doing what we used to do, okay? It's a different group. These dudes are not trying to rob and carjack and gangbang. They are painting their fingernails and wearing skirts. I'm just saying, shout out to the younger generations. But they're not doing what this vigorous group, these vigorous group of Gen Xers and the millennials and the baby boomers were doing before. They're just not. The prison incarceration rate has gone down tremendously. They literally have states who are being sued by these private prison owners because they can't keep you promised a certain number of criminals and you don't have them. And so they're going to start targeting women. And that's what you see happening. And I pointed it out. There was an incident where some young ladies had, shout out to Penelope, thank you so much for your membership for 9 months. There was some young ladies who had done something to an Uber driver, and I based the whole broadcast around that, and I explained to y'all what's happening. And they got mad. I was telling you many years ago, we have a 304 culture in the United States. I was always, very mindful. I call our sisters lovely ladies because I didn't want to call you these names because I knew that folk would take that name. People that don't like us anyway would take what I say and use it against us and throw it back in our face. So I'm very conscious of that. I told you all that it takes a man to raise these children. A woman can maintain these kids, but you need a husband. You need a man. You need a man in their life. And I said the brothers are doing the best they can, co-parent or whatever. I had a whole television show dedicated to co-parenting. I told you all that. And you said, oh, he just hates black women. Oh my God, how dismissive. How dismissive. But now here we are. And in that time period since I started, not only do you have black women, or black men, other black men saying this. Remember, nobody ever said anything to the sisters because who wants to deal with that? Show your face when you come in here. Cam up when you come in here. I'm 47 minutes in. Where are the critics? Where are the critics? Come on in. But anyway, as I was saying, many years ago, I told you what was going to happen. Many of you got angry with me. You say you hate black women. That's a cop-out. You always say that when you don't like what somebody's telling you. You don't like what I say, so you try to dismiss what I say by what? Invalidating me as a human being. He hates black women, so anything he says is biased, and therefore don't listen to him saying that the criminal justice system is going to begin targeting black women because of uptick in violence. And I'm not just talking about drugs and all those things. I'm talking about actual physical strong arm violence. And it's happening. And you got not just black men, but you got now a whole plethora. There's a whole group of black women on the internet, on YouTube, who speak daily about the criminal activity of black women. I told you 5 years ago what was going to happen. I did, didn't I? Tell the truth now. I told you about these Pookie and Ray Rays. There was a broadcast where I was invited on to speak on the idea of educated lanes versus Pookies and Ray Rays, and I said, well, they deserve what they get. That's what I said. They could take one to the middle of the cranium for all I care. People got angry with that. But look where we are now. Not only are we tired of the Pookies and the Ray Rays, but we're tired of the kids that they reproduce. And the culture, it's the culture, it's the culture, it's the culture. We're tired of that. I explained to you all that the reason that the culture is changing now and the reason you have so much pushback is because the streets don't run Black America anymore. The streets don't run Black America anymore. There was a time, listen to me, in 1965, the majority of Black people lived below the poverty line. I think it was like 60%. Now you have at least 59% of black people in the middle class. I just put up a broadcast that says from 2020, the black wealth has increased tremendously. Now, that doesn't mean we're making leaps and bounds, but it has increased tremendously. We are a very successful people. The reason that hip hop is dying is because we don't have that appetite to kill, steal, and destroy anymore. We are successful. We're middle class, upper middle class. Over 57% of black men reach the middle class by middle age. We're not into those things anymore, family. We've moved on. We're different people. We want our money. And so that whole gang culture, thug culture is dying. And I pointed it out. Where are my critics at? I need to know where the critics are. Dear critics, hold on, let me type this in the chat room. Dear critics, where are you? Cam up. Come on now. I'm not going to be here all night. And I'm not going to hunt you down. Now, let's talk about something else. Now, and I'm going to put the link in the chat room for the critics. The critics, come on now. You asked for this. I'm here for it. Now, here's the other thing. And I've said this a couple times. And I'm going to say it again. I am a lawyer. Okay? I am a lawyer. And the most important thing to me is my reputation as a lawyer. So if anyone were to say anything disparaging about my reputation, I'm going to do something about it. Somebody said the link is broken. Let me go ahead and fix that. Let's see if we can get that together. The link. Okay. Now, if I can't get some critics in here, I'm going to just get some of my old school Ice Lord brothers to come up in here, man. Come on in here and chop it up with me, man. But there you go. There's the link. All right. Now, again, I'm not going to just say I'm a lawyer. I'm multifaceted. I'm a lawyer. I'm an author. I make cultural commentary oriented around black male identity and legacy. But a lot of the critics, they focus on the tone. They focus on the style. They focus on certain ideological positions in what is my media work, particularly regarding black identity, gender roles, and they do everything they possibly. I mean, you got people trying like hell to say things. You see? Yes, I'm also a father, and I love my children. Music, I have 6 albums out. You see? And so I'm a lot of different things, but for the most part, my critics, they always focus on things that they think are some kind of way. I'm a virulent black woman hater. You even had some people, because I pointed out the fact that hundreds of thousands of black women lost their jobs when Trump got elected, that, he just happy black women lost their job. That's what he happy. I'm not going to be happy that anybody lost their job, but what I will point out is that our black American women have depended heavily on the federal government, whether it be through employment or welfare set asides, and they've forgone their relationship with their man and their husbands and their relatives. You see, you strong, independent, and don't need a man is not just talking about your husband, it's also talking about your family members. You don't need them either. You got that degree. And now, just like anybody else who's trusted the American government, nothing good came from it because they abandoned you in your time of need. You see? Now, another thing, again, did you all hear the part where I said I'm an attorney and I practice on a very high level and I depend on my reputation? That being the case, what kind of idiot would you be, okay, to set yourself up and force me to have to file a lawsuit against you? A person who for a living, that's like challenging a professional boxer to a boxing match. Why would you do that? Why would you think that I would let you say ill things about my reputation that I fought hard to get? It just makes no sense to me. I think that's not a good thing. So I'm not threatening to sue anybody. I am going to sue you. I want you to be absolutely certain that if you do anything or say anything that challenges or threatens my reputation as an attorney, I'm going to sue you. That's what you need to understand. Now, that being the case, if you want to challenge me on, let's say, reparations, or if you have a problem with something that I said and you think I've made a statement out of historical context, that's not something that I'm going to sue you for. I'm going to sue you for slander and defamation. I'm going to sue you for libel. I'm going to sue you for those things. Speaking ill, if you say things about my ability to practice law, I'm going to sue you. A matter of fact, you should expect it. What kind of lawyer would I be if I can't defend myself? Why would you all? I mean, let's think about it. See, I think the problem that a lot of black people have is they think I'm going to resort, and excuse me for using this word. I hate to use this terminology, but I think it's necessary. You think that I'm going to resort to niggerness. That's my word, patented. You think I'm going to jump down in the sewer and go back and forth with you on the internet and talk disparagingly about you? Why would I put myself on that level? No, I'm going to get a clean piece of paper, okay, that is white with black writing, and I'm going to explain to some court somewhere what you've done to disparage my name, and I'm going to sue you. That's what our ancestors fought for. There was a time when black people and all Americans had to handle their business in the street like animals and savages. I don't do that. As I sit here with my jiu-jitsu belt on that I've earned today after fighting for my life for the past 4 years. Yeah, but we don't do that. Didn't I just explain to you that black Americans are successful now? We hire lawyers, okay? We hire lawyers. We get our lawyers to track you down, okay? And then we sue you. That's what we do. Nobody's going to be going back and forth with some internet personality. We're going to sue you. And we're going to keep doing it because you have spoken in a disparaging way about my reputation and my name. And I employ everybody out there to do that. Again, this is how that works. And for those of you who say, oh, you're just being a bully, that's my favorite. You're a bully. How can I be a bully if someone decided to attack me and then I responded? I would like one of my critics to answer that. How can I be a bully if you attacked me and then I responded? Now, I didn't respond in the way that you thought I was. You thought I was going to take to the internet and waste these good people's time talking bad about you. I'm not going to do that. Why would I value what I'm doing here. And it's very rarely that I ever talk to my critics. I think anybody who's been with me for the past 5 years, since I've only done this maybe once. But I think it's important. And I think you all think it's important based on the fact that we have 7,000 people in this chat room. And y'all came to see a fight. You came to see me speak to these people and have a decent conversation and explain. Right? I think so. I'd like to let them say what they want to say. I want to hear what they have to say. But what you're not going to do is disparage my reputation as an attorney and me not respond. That's not being a bully. That's me defending myself. That's me responding to your attack. Now, you can't get mad if you attack someone and then they respond. That's not being a bully. You actually initiated this conflict, and now you're having to deal with the consequences of it. And that's to anybody. Now, how do I go about determining who it is that I may contemplate filing a lawsuit against? I call my lawyer. What happens is folk here who support me, they'll send me an email or they'll tag me in something. And they say, this person said this. And, I'm like, all right, whatever. I've got fish to fry or something like that. Cam up, cam up, cam up. Okay, cam up. Let me see your face. Make sure you're a real person. And then I'll send it to my lawyers. And they'll make the determination. And that's how that works, period. I don't deal with these things. I have other things I want to do. But nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and start. I don't know if we have critics here or not. You got a cam up if you want to come on. If you're a critic, raise your hand in the chat room. Those of you all who are cammed up right now, if you are a critic of something that I say, raise your hand so I'll know. Okay, shout out to Don, PL2, RG. If you're a critic, just raise your hand. I'm looking at you. Those of you all who've cammed up, I'm looking for critics. Okay, I want, because we gotta get the critics in. Okay, look, all you critics, y'all want attention. It's 7,000 people, man. This can make your channel, man. You might get monetized after the day, man, if you come on in here and chop it up with Uncle D. Okay, don't run away now. It's that time. We need to, where the critics at. All right, now before I start letting folk in, look here, and the link is in the chat room. It's amazing that I have people. I don't know if y'all know this, but Uncle D would be what y'all consider light skinned, right? Is that right? Now, if you see me in the daylight, you be like, no, he ain't quite that light skinned. He actually kind of dusty red. That's what they would say. He's kind of red. Okay. But with all these lights on my face and so on and so forth, but I am a foundational Black American man, ethnically and culturally. But what my critics would say, this is what they say. They say, well, you can't be an advocate for the American Negro because you're light skinned. That's what they say. The other thing they'll say is this. Here's a good one. I found out, now I'm 51. I found out when I was 40 that my biological father may be a man from the Caribbean. Now, the man that raised me, the man I'm named after, Black man, born in New York, mother from North Carolina, father from Mansfield, Mississippi. I'm named after this brother, Grandpa Spurling. Shout out to Hoosie 32324. I just found out at 40. Now I'm 51. You understand what I'm saying? Now, for you all who say, well, his biological father might be a man from somewhere else. Okay, let's table that. What about this 200-300 years of history from my mother's side of the family, where I have a fourth great grandfather who helped found Nicodemus, Kansas, who my grandmother's cousin was the great blues singer B.B. King. What about that? We just gonna ignore all that? Huh? We just gonna ignore all that, right? But nevertheless, you're entitled to that, and I guess you can cut that either way. All right, but that does not stop me from being an advocate of Black people. That's like saying, well, you a Black man, So you can't advocate for Asian clients. Or you a black man, you can't advocate for white clients. Or you 6'4", you can't advocate for short people. Explain that to me. Now, again, let's get the link. Where y'all at? I need my critics. And I got some people in here that's been hanging out with me for years. Look, I'm looking for critics. The people came to see the critics. Where are the critics at? And if I can't get the critics in here, I'm going to let these folk come in. But I think it's important to discuss. Now, another thing is this. I'm not necessarily a member of the Black Manosphere. I agree with what the brothers are doing, and that is comparing notes about their experiences in life. I agree with much of what they say because that has been my experience largely. Now, again, it's a lot different when you're dealing with somebody like me. Okay, it's just different. Again, just physically speaking, okay, I'm a tall, Suge Knight looking black man. I'm not tall and skinny. I am 6'4", 310 pounds of black man. Okay? I am SEC guard black man. You understand what I'm saying? And I've never had an issue with women. Okay? Shout out to Royal Linus. Thank you so much. I haven't had those issues. I mean, I done had some child support issues and some divorce issues, but I'm not talking about, the things that a lot of brothers get looked over for, and a lot of men in general. Oh, you're too short. You don't have. That's not an issue that I've had. But I can still be an advocate for black men who do. I don't think it's fair that you would look past a brother who is a good, upstanding, hardworking black man because he's a few inches shorter than what your ideal should be. I don't think you should look past a brother who's been in the military, who's doing well for himself because he is not a 6'6", a professional athlete making $60 million every 6 years. I don't think that's right. And so I can be an advocate for black men in that regard. I don't see a problem with that. Kevin Samuels and I saw eye to eye on that. Okay? I see what's going on in America. I see that the black, and when I say black, I'm talking about the American Negro, the foundational black American. Our birth rate is 1.36 children per woman. If it wasn't for these baby daddies out there impregnating all these women, it would be far less than that. If we relied solely on married black people to reproduce, we would disappear in less than a generation. I want you to think about that. A nation has never recovered when the birth rate has fell below 2.1 children per woman. We are at 1.36. We are a disappearing people. I want you to understand what that means. What that means is that in a few generations, what we know as foundational black Americans, the American Negro, will be so intermixed with every other group of people that have come here, we won't even exist like we do now. Part of the reason that we have issues with members of the diaspora coming to this country, or so much head bumping, is because they're coming and they got this culture and they bringing it in and they bringing their family and their family structures. And unfortunately, many of us have a bunch of baby mamas and mothers and kids and whatnot, and brothers who are not trying to get married. Most black men don't have children. Ladies, you have to take this on the chest. I want you to understand something. You told these brothers that you didn't want them, didn't you? Tell the truth. You told these black men in song and dance. You got a whole dance called twerking where you literally turn around and show them your ass. That's what you do. That's what twerking is. Twerking, you showing them your ass and basically telling them to kiss it. You've told these black men you don't need them, and now they said, okay, we got it. You've told them you don't need them, and now guess what? After generations of them trying to convince you that you do need them, they finally said, all right. And they went on over to Thailand. And they went down to Brazil. And they went to Colombia. Didn't they? They went to Colombia. And they exercised their option. And so you don't have as many simps as you used to have in the club, do you? The gas bill keeps showing up every third day of the month. That gas bill shows up. That notice that the electricity is about to get turned off, and you don't have a simp nearby because they're somewhere in Sosua, Dominican Republic. They're somewhere in Thailand. They're down in Medellin and Cartagena. Instead of tricking off on you, you mad because they tricking off on some other women, and you just don't think that's fair, do you? So you sent your spies out. Remember that movie? What's that thing? It's called Wakanda Forever, or Black Panther. You sent your war dogs down to Cartagena, and you don't like the fact that these brothers are literally ignoring you. When you speak to them in Cartagena, they didn't come there to see you, ladies. You told these men you didn't want them. You went over to Thailand, and the brother, you see a black man who's clearly a black man because you know him because he got the Jordans on with the shorts and the white t-shirt and the baseball cap. Shout out to Wayne London. We know brothers on when travel. We see you. You got the cut off jeans, like shorts, like it's 1995, and you a Freaknik with the white t-shirt and the white beater in the Louis Vuitton backpack, okay, and the Jordans. We know what you're doing. Or you traveling with the sweatsuit on. We know you. And she saw you, and you didn't speak to her. You literally have women going overseas and being ignored by black men. I just want you to understand that. Because they gave you what you asked for. You wanted the passport bros, and look, let me tell you something. I'm 100% in support of the passport bros. But I can tell you as one of the original passport bros, okay? Because this new thing of passport bro is always been brothers traveling overseas, but as the OG passport bro, and I might show you a video of me being a passport bro, but you need to hide your children's eyeballs. Don't let them see that. But the bottom line is, I support brothers traveling overseas, seeing what the world has to offer. I support that. Now, I will tell you that it is not sustainable. I will tell you that it is very expensive. I will tell you that you can enjoy yourself, but that the bottom line is you need to set up roots somewhere because you're going to need stability and you want to have something to show for yourself when you get 45, 50 years old. Can't be a passport bro from 18 to 48 and have nothing to come back to. You're going to need some social security and a bank account. You can't spend all your money tricking, okay? Because at a certain point, no woman will want you. But it's something that you can do. I think all black people should travel. I think black women should travel. All right? Now, we're going to let some people in. I'm going to let some folk in here, let y'all in one at a time. I got an anchor. I'm going to let my man who's the anchor come in last, but we're going to get this one brother in. Brother, welcome to the broadcast. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well this evening. How are you, Mr. Spurling?
I'm good.
Now
you are coming in respectful. You don't even sound like a critic. Okay, I need some critics to come in here.
No.
But go ahead.
So you're the Blizzard King, and so I'm not even sure if I'm a critic because you said something that triggered me. I was like, I need to find out more about it because maybe I need some education. I might need it, and I think you're a little bit older than me. You might be able to help me out because you said something about reparations, but I also hear the statistic, and maybe the statistic is fugazi. They say us African Americans, us FBA, have a spending power of 1.7 trillion. What is that about, Mrs. Spurling? If we have that much spending power, why do we need reparations? Let me know.
Just because the Jewish people make plenty of money, but they got reparations from Germany and America. What does how much we have in our pocket have to do with how much we're owed?
But if we were to circulate that currency amongst ourselves and not give our money to the Koreans, for the hair stuff and other people, if we the record labels, if we controlled our own art, you know what I mean, our own intellectual property, if we controlled our own IPs, why do we need reparations? We have enough talent within our community, Mr. Spurling, to
Well, brother, let's
be
go back to
billions.
the question that I asked because we want to have an honest
Okay.
intellectual debate. What does
Yes,
what
sir.
we have in our pocket and what we own have to do with how much we're owed?
A lot of cultures went through it. Most people in the world have been enslaved at some point in time, and like the reparations, what are they going to pay us reparations? How are they going to pay us some land and money, or what? And what if they're part, you know, immigrant? What if their family came from the Caribbean? They came from Africa, but other part of the family came from, the foundational Black Americans. What percent? Like it's so complicated. So, like,
It's not
are
that
we going to have?
complicated, brother. I want you to see. Here's the thing. Do you
Yeah.
believe that? We'll just start with this. Do you believe that foundational Black Americans, the American Negro, is owed reparations? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We
All
could
right.
be.
Do
Yeah.
you believe that
Yeah.
everybody who participated in the transatlantic slave trade are the people that are the institutions and organizations that owe foundational Black Americans reparations? It's a yes or no question.
Yes, but what percent? What percent of
Okay,
people own
that's
slaves?
a
What
number that
percent of people own slaves? Yeah.
okay, but
What percent of people own slaves? Okay, guys,
okay,
sir.
1% of people in the United States or the colonies, depending on how you looked at it, own slaves. That deals with one aspect. What about the other entities that were involved in the transatlantic slave trade? Do you believe that those European based insurance companies owe foundational Black American slavery?
Sure. Yeah.
Hold on. Do you believe those African nations like Portugal, who participated in the transatlantic slave trade, who had treaties with countries, with the King of the Congo, Alfonso the First, do you believe that Portugal owes foundational Black American slave trade reparations?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you
Okay.
say that.
So,
It's funny you say that because my
hold
family
on, brother.
lives.
Brother, let me ask some questions because I let you talk. You stated your grievance, and we're gonna talk. So you believe the nation of Portugal, which was a kingdom at the time, the nation is different now. It's not a kingdom. It's not a monarchy. They owe foundational Black American slavery. What about the Congo, which was a monarchy too, but now it's two different nations. Okay. Do you believe that nation, that successor states owe foundational Black Americans reparations?
No, they were already compensated. They sold us as slaves. So they were already compensated for what they did.
So you're saying that because those individuals were paid for the bodies that they were able to load on the boat, they don't owe those people who were loaded on the boat reparations. So basically what you're saying is the two crooks that participated in stealing us, because one crook paid another crook, the crook that paid the other crook doesn't owe the people who they actually stole reparations. That's what you're telling me.
When you put it in that way,
So,
yeah, I guess they both. Yeah, they both.
Yeah, they both do. So we can agree on that.
Pay
Okay, so I'm glad we've gotten to that point. Now, hold on, brother. Hold on. Now, here's the problem that an intelligent, thoughtful critic would say, Mr. Spurling. Slavery wasn't illegal at the time that those people were sold into slavery. That's what I could respect that. I could see if you said
they were sold as they were sold as
yeah, and that's a good. So ask me that question. Say, what the hell are you talking about, man? Slavery wasn't even illegal. I just told you everybody was a slave. Isn't that what you said earlier?
That's what I said. Is that even Europeans, the Slavs, all these people have been slaves all around the world. That was a common practice where slavery was normal.
It was normal. It was, what's the word I'm looking for as a lawyer? It was what? Legal.
Tell me, you're legal. Yes.
It was legal. How
Yes.
dare you come up with these
They
cockamamie
were
arguments?
compensated.
Slavery people should be compensated for an activity that's been legal for thousands of years, Mr. Spurling. You're a horrible attorney. I would never hire you. And you know what my response would be?
Go ahead.
You're right. It was legal up until 1808. And then it was illegal. Then there was a treaty.
Who made it illegal?
Hold on.
Made it illegal?
The United States government and treaties between the United States government and Great Britain. And they went a long way to shut slavery down on the west coast of Africa. Did you know that it was the
Great Britain did.
Let me finish, my brother. Let me finish. Let me finish. No, sir. I'm going to finish and then you can speak because I'm going to explain. Okay? And that's how we can do this and not resort to, as the N word I use or the niggerness. We don't want to do that because white people are looking at us to have this conversation. But after 1808, there was a treaty. First of all, 20 years prior to that, in 1887, the United States said, well, we are going to outlaw slavery in 20 years. And that 20-year time period would have elapsed in 1807. Now, the reason they were going to do that is because, first of all, you had all of these rebellions going on, and these black people being brought from the Congo was tearing up the country. They were rebelling. You just was terrible for white folks. It was scared of that. You got to stop bringing them over. So what we're going to do is we are going to breed slaves in places like Baltimore, Maryland, and North Carolina, and Virginia. They had slave breeding farms. That's why we went from 4 million to 400,000 to 4 million by 1860. They were bred to be like that. But it was big business. See, the land in Virginia had so been stripped of its minerals because of the cotton crops that it was no longer good. You see, it was no longer good to grow the crops. So what did they do? They said, well, we're going to start breeding slaves. There's a need for it. We're tired of these folk anyway. We got to get them out of here. There's too many of them coming over here. Bottom line is that we made it illegal to bring slaves over. We gave people a 20-year time period from 1887 to 1807. And so it went into place in 1808. After that, it was illegal. It was the British government, white people. It was the British. Let me go back and tell you. It was the British government that had to literally stop the African kings and nations from selling other black people into slavery. They would literally patrol up and down the coast of Africa, stopping ships from selling other black people. White people, white Europeans had to shut down the African slave trade because the African kings it's been centuries now. Keep in mind, slavery still exists in Africa. Right now, they still got places in Tunisia where you can go buy a Negro, a sub-Saharan African. But the bottom line is they shut it down. It was illegal, but yet you still had people who the Wanderer and the Clotilda, who then did what? They went through they navigated the waters, they got around the slave patrols, and they still brought people here. Those are the people that must pay reparations. Now, here's the thing. If we can get a foothold, if we can get some case law in place, and this is how lawyers work, this is how the law works. If we can get some case law in place that gives us grounds or at least one reason to get reparation, we can get two, and then we can get 4 reasons, then we can get a whole list of reasons why our people should be granted reparations. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of Caribbean people in this chat room. There's a lot of people from Trinidad, and they have in Jamaica and Haiti, and they have a very similar background. If it works for foundational Black Americans, it sets a precedent for all the other Caribbean people. Now, what do I want? What do I think my people want? And if you were here earlier, you heard the conversation. Do I ever think we'll get $1 trillion from Nigeria? Probably not. Even if we sued Senegal, Gambia, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Congo, I believe they have value there, but I don't think we'll ever get it. Let me finish, bro, because then I'm going to let you speak. I don't think we'll get that, but let's say we are able to get the law changed. Let's say we're able to get something on the books which grants us permission and standing to sue these people. And under the threat of hundreds, maybe dozens of lawsuits, They'll say, well, what can we give you in trade instead of this money? How about we give you some land? How about we give you ease of access to become dual citizens? This is how you negotiate from a position of power. Now, why is it, my brother, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Why is it, black man, that I, as a black man, have to sit here and explain to you this on a public forum for everybody else to hear my strategy? Why is it, as a 25-year veteran, a Hall of Fame attorney, would you have people on the internet referring to me as a dumb lawyer? Because see, if it was a white man saying this, you wouldn't have no problem with it, would you? Let's tell the truth. If it was a white lawyer who went to Harvard and was white as the driven snow, none of the Negroes who are criticizing me would have a damn thing to say about it. They'd say, oh my God, that's ingenious. Why didn't we think of that? And here's what's gonna happen. And the same thing I told you is gonna happen with Kevin Samuels. It's gonna be some white people in about 10 or 15 years who are gonna look at this idea that I've thrown out there on the internet, and they're gonna say, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kill two birds with one stone. We're gonna let these Negroes that we have in America sue these Negroes over here in Africa, and we're gonna get our big white law firms in, and we're gonna come take 40 and 50% of the wealth. And we're not gonna do what Mr. Spurling said. No, we're never gonna let our Negroes go. We need these Negroes here so we can talk down to them. We love these Negroes. We love them. We love them. We love them running and jumping and playing basketball. We keep them around here just so we can talk bad about them because they make us feel better about ourselves. And if we didn't have these Negroes here, we would destroy each other because that's what we do. Look at the history of Europe. But it's going to be some white folk that come up with the same idea in 10 or 15 years, and y'all are going to love them. You're going to call them genius. But old Uncle D, I'm done. Is there anything else you would like to say, brother? Because I cut you off a couple of times.
Right.
Let's hear what you got to say.
So there is. And so my argument is more along the lines of that classic Dave Chappelle skit. They should have never gave you ninjas money extra. Like, I think our mindset, I think like when they talk about people who win the lottery, most of them go broke, Mr. Spurling. And the reason why they go broke is because they don't have money management skills, right? They don't know how to invest.
Brother, why?
They don't know how
can I
to
just cut you off real quick? Why do you care what somebody else does?
So I would say, let me finish. Let me finish my thoughts.
Praise God.
And so it's like, I don't know if us getting reparations. I'm not sure if of us getting reparations without
without a parent telling us how to spend it.
Shift, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, what you're doing is you're taking a position. No, brother. No, I got to cut you off because I'm not going to let you. You made your point. What you're doing is taking the position that the white liberals take, and that is that these Negroes don't have the sense enough to do what's in their own best interest. You're basically, because see, you got two mindsets of white supremacy. We never talk about. Shout out to Lock Prophets. You got the white supremacists say, I can't stand these Negroes, don't want to be around them. All of them should be hanging from some tree somewhere. That's what they think. And then you got the other ones that say, well, no, the Negroes just need they need parenting. And so you basically take on that racist parental ideology that says black people are not adult enough to run themselves. We got to tell them how to vote. We got to tell them what to eat. We got to tell them what to live. We got to tell them what they like. We got to tell them what kind of God to pray to. That's what you're saying. You're saying Negroes don't know how to do. Now,
I'm a Booker T guy.
Go ahead.
I'm a Booker T guy. Booker T guy. We need to build it ourselves. We need to build it ourselves. White folks are going to respect us until we build it ourselves.
You kind of falling away from the subject.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the
money.
Little bit.
It's a little bit away.
No, but we got to stay here. Let's go back let's go back, brother. We are the richest group of black people on this planet. Black America. You just mentioned
we are. That's what I'm saying. We already have it.
Let me finish.
We
brother.
have it.
Let me finish, brother. Over nearly 60% of black men reach the middle class by the time we're middle age. We have 1.7 million millionaires in the United States. We own more land, we have more political clout, we have more wealth, we have more spending power than every other group of people of African descent on this planet. And you are telling me that we don't know how to manage our money.
Mm-hmm.
What basis do you?
We don't.
Yeah, but what base? Where's that come from? Because when I look at the statistics, when I look at how we've dealt with our money, apparently we do.
No, because we're still largely in debt, especially our African American women. But they're very educated, but they're very in debt. A lot of
Shout
us
out
are
to
in
Drew.
debt. You know what I mean?
Okay,
And
brother.
so
The
it's not.
United States is
Go ahead.
$38 trillion in debt.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, if we
So it's
look
not
at a
just a
lot of these
black
people
thing.
are in debt. Do you have a debt? I mean, I don't want to get in your
Yes.
business. You got debt?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah.
So
I
you
have student loan
basically,
debt.
because
Yes.
you have that debt, that credit card debt, I don't know whatever, you shouldn't get your paycheck next
It's
week.
student loan debt.
Because you don't know what to do with it.
I have student loan debt. Yeah.
Look. No, I want you
yeah.
to fall back now. I mean, I'm using your logic. Because you're in debt and you don't know what to do with your money, some money that we're gonna call him Cleophas owed you $45. He don't give that. He shouldn't give that money to you because you don't know what to do with it. Now he stole your pit bull back when you was 10, and you just found out, and you want your $45. Okay, but now because you got this credit card that you don't know what to do with it, he just gonna keep it and tell you what to do. That's your logic. They say you too stupid to know what you do with your money. That's very white supremacy, brother.
No, I think we need to circulate our money amongst ourselves and not let Jews and whites and other folk run products and services that we
let me
use
run this. Look,
exclusively.
bro, if you are
Mhm.
stupid enough
Mm-hmm.
to give your money to other people, that's your own damn fault. I can't be mad at a fool for getting his head bumped. If you're a fool, bump your head. That's what happens. You can learn. But
as
look,
a people, we're doing that collectively.
No, as a people, we're doing great.
Doing that.
No, as a people, we're doing great. Now, there's some individuals with issues, but as a group of African people who literally had our land stolen from us in 2019 and our towns burned down a little over 100 years ago, we're doing great as a group of people. Come on back. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm here. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Okay. I don't accept the fact that other people can come in and tell me what I can do with my money. If I'm owed it, I'm owed it. But let me go back to my greater point. No, you gotta stop because I gotta get some other critics up in here. Let me go back to my point.
Brother.
The whole point of holding these folks responsible is for what? Leverage. This is a power play. You negotiate from a position of power. If I say, look, bro, locomotion, if I say, look, if you don't start letting my Black American brothers and sisters, my American Negroes, cut through all that red tape and get dual citizenship in all these countries, we're going to sue you for $1 trillion. We're going to get a judgment, and every shipment of oil that comes off the west coast of Africa, we're going to take it. We're going to embargo you every diamond that you send overseas. We're going to take it. All these African diplomats and people with bank accounts in Europe and America, we're going to seize all your money unless you cut through this red tape. And on top of that, when we get there, we want a stipend and we want our land to be untouched. We don't want you saying, oh, the chiefs got to vote about it. And when the chiefs vote about it one year, well, you didn't ask the right chief. After you build a nice building on it and an apartment, then the chiefs come back and take it. No, we don't want that. You see, leverage. Right. It's a complicated issue. It is not for non-lawyers to understand. I get what you all are getting caught up into the minutia. The big picture is we hold folk responsible unless they give us something. This will be good not just for foundational Black Americans, but also Caribbeans who also share that history of African slavery, and South Americans who share that history of the transatlantic slave trade, and Brazilians and all the other people who were dragged off their home continent and brought to the New World against their will. Right. So why would you get in the way of me doing that for millions of African people? Why would you get in the way of me doing that?
I'm not going to get in the way, Mr. Spurling.
Well, good. God bless you, brother. Let's go ahead and get somebody else in here.
Yep.
We'll see. Go ahead.
All right, brother. Take care.
No, did we clear the air though? Did we clear the air?
As we cleared the air. We cleared the air, brother.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who had the same criticism. All right, praise Moses. All right, hallelujah, hallelujah. Look. Woo wee! I need some water. Look, man. Where the rest of y'all critics at? Come on back in here. We want the rest of the critics to come in here. I need all the critics to come up in here. Now, I'm gonna bring a very rude man in here. I don't want him. Look. Many years I would let brothers come into the chat room and we would say all kinds of stuff. This gentleman has been here for years. Okay, he's been here for a long time. He's not a critic. He criticizes a lot of people a lot of time, but I don't want him in here. And I know he's left. I don't want him in here saying anything disparaging about any groups of individuals. We're not gonna have that here today. Okay, he is a true light-skinned brother, and I can't control these people. They're not like me. I'm red. Okay, I'm red, and I can't control them. Now I want him to come in here, but if he says anything that's gonna get me demonetized, I'm gonna get him out of here immediately. Okay, a man who needs no introduction, one of the original ICE lords, Mr. Devin Lockett. Brother, welcome back.
How you doing, brother?
How you doing? Blessed in the Lord. Go ahead.
God bless you, man, because what you're talking about is a worldwide revolution of justice that will start here in America. This is like the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It'll start here in America because you and other powerful, intelligent Black lawyers and attorneys that we already have within our community, within our society, can bring this about. And that's going to just have a ripple effect to every person, every Black man who has ever been in bondage anywhere on this planet. And
yeah, brother. And I don't understand why anybody would get in the way of that.
No.
All I'm doing is presenting an idea. If we can here's the thing, Devin, and you know this, and you all know the Devin's a military man. Brothers, he and I are close to the same age. So of course we're gonna have some commonalities. And when you get to this certain age, you start looking at the world for what it is. Okay. I love being an American, but at some point I'm going to move too. Okay. At some point after my kids are able to take over my business and do well for themselves, I'm going to go somewhere and chill out and enjoy myself, because America is not somewhere you can get comfortable in and cozy up to. It's always going to change. It's always going to be expensive. You can have $1 million house and pay it off and still end up paying $30,000 or $40,000 a year in property taxes. And that's not something you want to end up doing at 78. You can take that same amount of money and live like a king just off the coast or in some country. That's why you got brothers doing the passport bro thing. That's why you got brothers moving places, Eastern Europe, whatever. Okay. But what I'm saying is it's impossible for a lot of Black people to exercise the option of leaving because they don't have anywhere else to go. We can't send 45 million Black people to Jamaica. There's not enough room. The only place we could literally go back to if we wanted to, if we had the option, would be the massive continent known as Africa. That's the only place. But if our people over there, first of all, they don't even count us as our people. No. They've already, you are not Black. You are not, you are these, you are everything but what we are. Unless till they come over here, oh, brother. When it's time to get the job or get the position in the graduate school or the medical school, then we brother. When you want to live under the colonizers, right. When you want to live under the umbrella of what Black Americans have provided, then we brother. Yeah. But when it's convenient to you, we not. When somebody does some fraud and steals $1 million from a bank, oh, Black Americans are terrible. But when somebody graduates from medical school, top of the class, the night the flags come out. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So man, anybody who gets in the way of me trying to set a precedent for us to be able to use reparations or whatever tool of power we have using a legal justice system for our people to be able to escape, I think that's your true enemy. But go ahead, Devin. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, brother.
I'm just saying it's making a lot of sense. And who cares? I minored in econ at Cal State. And, from what I understand, God bless the savers and God bless the spenders, because spenders are the ones that actually keep the economy going for all of us.
Yeah, man. I don't understand it, man. And, the thing is, man, I've tried to be very fair with my criticism of Black culture, but now you got people who are just blasting.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm at least judicious. I will say, hey, it's not a color, it's a culture. But you have people literally pathologizing black people as an ethnic group. And see, that's dangerous. And that's why I start pushing back and saying, well, I have to expand what I do from being just an advocate for black men to being an advocate for all black American people. I can't defend everybody. I can't defend the people in Trinidad and in Canada and Jamaica, but I have to just focus on my group because that's really all the time and energy I have. You see what I'm saying? But man, it's just a trip, man. You know, it's a trip.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know, we set the pace for black people all over the world anyway. So, you know, once we get it kicked off, they're going to find their own heroes, you know?
Yeah, man. But anyway, man, look, brother, look, Devin is not a critic. Devin is, me and Devin agree on a lot of stuff, okay? He go a little way out there, and I got it. So far, so good. So far, so good. Okay?
I'm just right on it. I'm right on you with the reparations tip, man.
Yeah, man. And people don't seem to understand. Why do I have to explain to people? It's annoying to have to explain to people, hey, if we threaten them with $1 trillion, you'll be able to get your passports and your citizenship a lot easier. Wouldn't you like to go over there and say, look, this is the land that we had. We had an agreement that we came up with in 2030, and we got 40 million acres set aside for foundational black Americans. This is y'all land. Go pick a spot. We could have a homestead, something like we had when I got some other people coming in. And where the critics at? Come on in, critics. I need the critics, sisters. It's open to you too. If you want to come criticize, come on and criticize. Come tell me how I make you feel. If you don't like my delivery, I'm cool with that too, because I'll accept that. Okay, I get it. I will accept that. Okay. But man, it'd be great if we could clear a path for the next generation to have somewhere to go, in my opinion. Okay. Brother, what else? I'm gonna let you get the last word. I'm gonna bring somebody else in here.
Nah, man, I'm like, you know, just giving you a good shout out. I'm just saying, not to mention the gold and other minerals as well, right?
Lithium and all. Yeah, definitely.
You know,
wouldn't it be great if we got a financial interest in some of that?
Yep.
You see what I mean? See, you can't. I want you Africans to listen to me. You can't be brother when you signing those applications and getting in our medical schools and our graduate schools, and then be like, oh, we're not the same people. When we say, well, give us some of those minerals and whatnot that we would have had we been left. Oh, no, we weren't selling our own people. Africans weren't selling other brothers and sisters. No, we weren't selling our own people. We were selling you all. Y'all from different tribes. Okay? Oh, we not brothers. So are we brothers and sisters or are we not? Shout out to Dharma Warrior. And that's the part I don't like. Man, Devin, let me let my man Broken Blade come in here. Man, thank you so much. Always good having you in here. Appreciate you, man. I'm going to keep up the good fight. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Broken Blade, brother, what's happening? Welcome. You are not a critic either, okay? And I'm looking for the critics. The name of this broadcast is Don't Run Now, okay? But they have not showed up. Where are the critics at? The link is still in the chat room. I'd love to hear from you all. But Broken Blade, man, feel free to, let's talk about some of the criticisms and the pushback that you've seen me receive, because I know you are always in the chat room and you're always in the comments section. What are your thoughts on some of the critics? What is something that when they say, because many of these people just showed up, you see, and they don't really, they just talking. They haven't heard the depth of what I'm even speaking about. What are your thoughts, man? The floor is open.
Oh, for the past few months since this conversation started, we've seen just many childish, disingenuous arguments. Mm-hmm. Those just causing problems. They think that the main character is this, that, all this other nonsense. And I've come to realize recently that it's willful blindness.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to understand.
Right, they don't.
Perhaps a part of them can.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a piece of a podcast a couple days ago. It was an African man talking to an FBA woman. And from his words, they practically worship white people in the continent of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
He literally said, there's a joke there where the priest says, let us pray. Black people get down on their knees and bow to the ground. White people open their eyes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, Broken Blade, Africans suffer from the issues associated with colonization also. Okay, they suffer from light skin supremacy, white supremacy. You have sisters in the continent with weave on. I mean, they have the same issues. Same thing in the Caribbean. All of these folks are subject to the same culture. Self-hate, because the truth is it's self-hate. That's why they can't love us, because they hate themselves. So how do you negotiate with somebody who hates themselves and they hate you because you remind them of them? You can't. Okay, you can't. And so if you want something from these folk that don't like you and hate you, then you got to have power over them, period.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, my African brothers and sisters, even though you all don't call us African brothers and sisters, we see how you work. You bow down and you kiss the white man's butt. They can do no wrong. You embrace them. And then when it comes to black people, you tell us, oh, you're not our brothers. You're not our sisters. So what do? What do I do for my people? Because like many other black people, I was enamored by Africa too as a youth. You see, we loved Africa. We loved everything about Africa. There's a reason why that movie, again, and I'm gonna refer to Black Panther, is one of the highest grossing movies in the world. It's because black people made it hot. Absolutely. You see, a fictional story about a black African kingdom in Africa. It shouldn't have went anywhere. It wasn't even that popular in the comic books. But we made it hot because we love Africa. But see, when you all came with the disrespect and we could deal with that. But the institutional rejection, our people coming over there for land and trying to set up shop, and our people coming over there trying to get dual citizenship, you'll let the actors and the rich people in, you'll crown them king and make them a chief of a tribe somewhere. But the brother who's an auto mechanic, or the sister who is a nurse or something like that, they got to pay these exorbitant amounts of money, and they work their whole life in Philadelphia and Chicago and in New York to come to Africa, and you treat them horribly. So I want to clear the path to make it easier for my people. That's my legacy. That's what it would be. But that's the criticism that a lot of people understand, and they don't even understand the history of what's going on. And recently, my thing is this, man, if you're going to talk about us, I'm going to talk about you. You see? So, okay, well, you know what, y'all, I will tell you, you talk about our culture. Let me talk about your scammy culture. Because see, 6 one way, half a dozen other. I'm not going to let you sit up here and disrespect my people in the skin that I have to live in. And I'm not going to give it back. That's why I brought up the fact that Antonio from the Congo, a brother named Anthony Johnson, was the first slave owner, a black slave owner that sued to keep another black man in slavery for life. And see, that's what hurts when you start hitting them with the facts and the history that's unescapable. Go ahead, brother, please continue.
Oh, yeah, the reason why most of their countries are struggling the way they are is usually it's more often than not, it's their fault. Mm-hmm. It's almost, I've said this many times on talking to Alvin, it's almost like they sold off their warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard stories from several FBA that are living in Africa, different countries, that have traveled to different countries, that they've met good-hearted people that are scammers, but they get scammed as well. They just take it on the chin.
Right.
Or people working jobs and shops and stuff like that. They're just at peace of getting paid like once every 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
We ain't letting that slide.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's why practically everybody on the planet seems to be having an issue with us. They're obsessed with us. I think we're the only people on the planet that have consistently called this out and fought against it.
Yeah, and where it hasn't been as collective as we have done it, and consistently as we've done it. But brother, look, man, Broken Blade, it seems like the critics are not coming. Okay, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that the critics didn't show up. I'm really disappointed. But I appreciate your time for coming in today. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go and continue talking to these folk. But man, thank you so much, and I appreciate your years of being here with me, and I appreciate y'all, man, just being the great brothers that you are to keep me motivated. And again, I'm an advocate for black men. Okay, that's what I do. So if you don't like what I'm saying, maybe that's how it's supposed to be. You see, because me being for advocate for black men, especially foundational black American men, means I'm going to step on some people's toes. Now, that does not necessarily mean that you won't benefit. There are plenty of black women who benefit from me being an advocate for black men, speaking up positively about black men, saying how wonderful we are. Yeah, that makes you look good. You see, and it makes the brothers feel better and creates for a better environment. But thank you so much, brother. Let me see if we can get some other folk in here. You got to cam up if you want to come in. You're going to have to cam up if you want to come in. And when you do cam up, raise your hand if you're a critic. We're looking for critics. Okay, the name of this broadcast is Don't Run Now. Okay, we're going to let a couple more critics in, and then we're going to ease on up out of here since the critics are not showing up. Now, if you are in the chat room and you've enjoyed this broadcast, I would certainly appreciate it if you would hit the like button, if you would subscribe to the channel. If you like this, of course, this is not my normal format. I usually just spend my time speaking about historical issues and whatnot and trying to lay some context. But what I'm doing right now is clearing the air. Okay, let me establish what we've established so far. I will sue you. Okay, if you speak ill about my reputation, I will sue you. Just understand that when I find out about you, I'm going to refer your case to a lawyer in your area, and I will sue you. You cannot hide. You don't have to show me your identity. If you have a YouTube page and you're using it, I'll find out who you are. Remember, I am the one who sued YouTube. You understand? So I have a very unique understanding of YouTube. Cam up if you want to come in. If you don't cam up, you're not coming in. If you don't cam up, you're not coming in. It's time to talk. Let's talk. You got to be man enough, a woman enough. Where the ladies at? Ladies, I want some of you ladies to come in, and you don't necessarily have to be a critic. I'm here to listen to you. And here's the thing. I want somebody to come in here and point out where I'm wrong. Whether it's a historical fact, I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with being wrong because I can correct that. But don't just snipe from the comment section. It's your turn to shine now. Got plenty of people in here. You want to be seen, you want to be right, come on in. Now I do understand that a lot of people just have a problem with the way I say things. But how would you like me to? Let me have a look. Would you want me to talk to you all nice like this? I had a conversation with my big ass sons over a couple of years. And I said, you know, they don't like sometimes the way I talk to them. I'm like, son, if you were living in your little room that's filthy and dirty. And I said, son, can you please, in your heart of hearts, make up your bed? I certainly would appreciate that as your dad. I appreciate that if I wouldn't have to tell you over and over again to clean up your room, son. I asked my son, I said, would you listen to me? And they said, no, Daddy, we wouldn't. So that's why you got to come in, you got to speak authoritatively, you got to lay down the law and let them know what's happening, because that's the only way you can get people to listen. Especially, you got to cut through all this nonsense. You all on TikTok most of the time, looking at the foolishness that's going on there on Instagram. So this is what needs to be done. Where are my critics? Don't run now. Where are the critics? Don't show up in the comment section after this broadcast is over. Where are you at? Come on in right now. The link has been in the chat room the whole time. Okay? Where are the critics? Come on, show your face. Be brave. It's time to be brave. Okay? It is time to be brave. It's time to come on out and voice your displeasure at how I've talked to you, and voice your disagreement on what I've said. You don't like me. I'm too light-skinned to be an advocate for black people. Even though I look like foundational black Americans are supposed to look with a mixed heritage. Shout out to my man Don PL TRG. Where they at? Where the critics at? I'm here for it. We're gonna take the time to read some of these super chats while the critics get the notes together. Okay. I want my critics. Okay? Where are y'all at? I need the critics to show up and show out. Shout out to my man Lucifer Ratzinger. TKOB, thank you for the $3 super sticker. Also, Miss MS Delta Guy 8017. Man, thank you for the $100, man. Reroute that West African gold and oil right over here to FBA. Yeah, we start holding some of that money hostage. We'll get some land, we'll get some paperwork together so we can get our citizenship, and we can do a lot. And then we can talk about how much they don't like us when we get over there. Okay? As we reoccupy what should have been ours in the first place. Shout out to Alexander Patterson, 443. Been the fan for years. Thank you for your work. Good looking out. Cam up. What's up? Okay, we got one person. Let me go ahead and read. I'm gonna read the rest of these super chats. Bring the folk in here. Hey D, Nuck if you buck that. Yeah, FBA Freedman official. Teach them if they can learn, whether they like it or not. Save them from themselves. Righteous class. Thank you so much, sister. I appreciate you. So we're gonna stop right there. We got another fella in here. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello, hi.
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right, now are you a critic? Okay, because we're looking for critics. Are you a critic?
I'm not a critic per se.
Okay.
I just want to, because I pretty much agree with a lot of the things that you said, and I say that kind of, not all the great ideas that you gave, but just my own sentiments about the importance of just reparations and things. And I was just having this conversation with some friends and people earlier about, the delineation and stuff that as Black Americans we're doing right now, and how that's kind of, at least in the media, because you have the media and then you have real life. Right. So at least the media, you see all these videos about different people across the diaspora having something to say. And it's just really a time for us as Black Americans, to take pride in our culture and what we've been able to cultivate over the years. And yes, we do deserve reparations. If the slave owners if Lincoln's administration paid the slave owners per slave after they were freed, then why can't the children of slave owners get reparations? And the whole thing is, America has had like 200 years or 150 plus years since the Civil War to give us our money. You could have did that for the actual slaves that were freed, or better yet, the people who fought in the Civil War to save the North from losing. You promised them money, land. You found ways to take that back. Then Reconstruction, where we're literally, our ancestors are building or repairing America after the war. You didn't do that. And then our ancestors decided, okay, we're going to take this route that people who like to be contrary to the movement, okay, we'll build our own towns, our own cities. And at least in Tulsa, it was $1 million flowing through that town and city compared to the other side of the train tracks, if you know what I'm saying. And
we are a very successful people when left alone.
Yeah.
You see? And it is only because, white folk in their jealousy have purposely tried to undermine us at every turn that we are still further back than we would be. Look how much adversity we've had to deal with as a group of people. And yet, look how far we've come. If left alone, Black people will be fine, especially Black Americans. And that's what they know. Let me explain something. White people know more about us than we know about us. They know about the kingdoms in Mali. They know about the pyramids in Sudan. They know that our history goes back thousands of years. We were the creators of mathematics and business and science and astronomy and chemistry and all these other things. They know us. It's embedded in your DNA. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. They know your history better than you know your history. Now, us taking the political position that we are going to delineate has caused an uproar. And I want you to understand something. Black Americans represent 2% of the African diaspora. At 45 million of us, and of course, a lot of that is people of African descent from Africa and Caribbean, about 25%. But roughly 2% of the population of Black people on the planet, when we decide, we just going to do our own thing. We're going to basically go back to being the American Negro. Why does everybody have a problem? See, it lets you know just how influential and powerful we really are. That's what it does. It lets you know, oh, you all have been riding on our backs for all these years. You all count on the fact that we're trying to go along to get along with you. We're the little nice friend that holds the purses when everybody else is out there on the dance floor dancing. You see, we the fat chick, okay, that holds the purses and watches everybody's shoes while everybody else is out there enjoying themselves and enjoying their luxury. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're the sacrificial land, and brothers and sisters like, nah, we're not gonna play this game anymore. We're not gonna allow you to use us and to talk disparagingly about us. And this one thing when it was just banter back and forth and they talking bad about us and this, that, and the other, and we call them African booty scratchers and they call us the cops. It's okay, fine. But when it comes down to political influence, when it comes down to resources, when it comes down to money, that's what this is all about. Because see, at this point, we're looking at our HBCUs and we see a lot of Africans and a lot of Caribbeans taking over positions. And if they're good at it, great, we're happy for them. But don't then exclude us from things set up by freedmen or American Negroes for what is now the descendants of those people. That's not cool. You see what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah.
And so this delineation is now forcing people to basically have to suffer the consequences of their mere presence in the United States without the benefit of the umbrella of protection that we as foundational Black Americans provide. And it's hot. It's hot right now. You see?
Got them mad.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to be mad because I also a while ago, I'll give you two.
Now, brother, I got some other people to come in, so I'm gonna give you another few seconds,
okay,
30 seconds or so to wrap it up, and we're gonna let some more folk in. Go ahead.
For sure. So when it comes to the delineation, you know, scientists say that all of humanity came from like some place outside of Johannesburg. And so if you walk up to there's 50 something African countries. If you walk up to a Nigerian or Ghanaian and say they're not really Nigerian, Ghanaian, because your ancestors from 1 million years ago was from a city outside of Johannesburg, they would be upset. So it's like we have transcended cultures, we have transcended all of that. And if the oldest bones in the Americas are phenotypically Black, that meant that Black people were here way before then. So it's just kind of like,
well, that's cool. And see, I'm gonna cut you off right quick. That's wonderful. But what we talking about right now is the Black people who are culturally foundational Black American. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, as I said earlier, phenotypically speaking, there's really no difference ethnically between a Black person from Jamaica, Trinidad, or Brazil than it is from a Black person from Canada or the United States. We pretty much phenotypically the same. It's an admixture.
No, so, I'm sorry.
But culturally, and I want to, because I got some other folk in here, but culturally, Art, you know, we're different. And it's this culture that we have that's allow us to maintain and be successful on this in this country. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
I'm just saying, and I'm gonna let somebody else in. Go ahead and finish.
Okay, I'll do my last 5. No, I agree with you. I'm FBA. No, what I'm saying is stop pitting us as Black Americans in a quote unquote African box or in a certain boxes. Allow us to transcend. That's why I was trying to use that example as like the African countries. No matter what, you know, the genesis or the quote unquote origins are, is look at us today. We're 500-600 years removed, and there was already Black people in America before the slave trade. So it's like, don't dishonor us. Allow us to embrace our own cultures, just like you allowed the Caribbeans and other people to. And if you're in America, then you had to assimilate to Black Americans because this is our country and this is where we're doing things. You're free to break bread, be a part of us. We fought for y'all to come here in the 1960s. It's just simply don't come here and try, you know, to demean us. So I was just saying,
right.
Yeah, so I was just saying, like, as Africans are very proud of their different countries, I was to say, you're not really from Ghana or from there. You're from here in Johannesburg, where civilization began. You would be insulted because you transcended that. Your ancestors transcended that. So us as Black people in America, we have transcended slavery and stuff like that, but we're still owed our money. So that's kind of what I was saying.
Excellent point. And I think that's a great point to leave it at. Thank you so much, Art. I appreciate you. Let's get some other folk in here. We have a gentleman, Fitzgerald. Welcome to the broadcast, sir. Are you a critic, or maybe you have something you disagree with? If so, please state that.
I wouldn't say I'm a critic, but I think that there's some insight that I would like to place. I definitely benefit from the struggle of Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, and my parents are of Jamaican descent. I was born in the United States. I do recall my mother when they first got here in the 70s that, Black Americans wasn't particularly, fond of them. They would joke on their culture, joke on the way they would dress, joke on their accent. And as a result of that, they kind of adapted because they didn't want that to be perpetuated on their children. But I will say this, my experience growing up now in the workforce, where I am of Jamaican ancestry, and I go amongst people who I know are of Caribbean descent, and they assume that I'm Black American, I feel the animosity. And it's not until I mention that my parents are of Jamaican descent that the whole vibe changes. I do take issue with that, but it's almost like we're stuck in a hard place, some of us, where we are totally influenced by the Black American culture. We've been raised properly and understanding Black history, but there's a part of us that's not accepted by Black Americans. And then there's a part of us that's not accepted by the country that our parents come from. It's like we're just never going to be truly accepted. But brother, there's a lot of things that you kind of highlighted that I agree with wholehearted. And I sense it. Like, I know when I deal with, Black people of other nationalities, and they take on the assumption of me being a Black American, there's a certain way that they come at me. And so it's kind of tough where I remember what my mother told me, but then, based on what you're saying, I felt that, and I don't know. I mean, it's just weird.
You raise valid points, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask you a little, because there's some history in this country I think you'd find very interesting as a child of immigrants. And basically what you're saying is what you perceive as foundational Black Americans, the American Negro, which is your ethnic group, treated you differently. And they talked about not you, but your parents. They talked about their culture, probably talked about the food they consumed, the way they spoke, etc. They othered you. You understand what I mean when I say they othered your parents? And that's the story and that's something that's common. Now, I want you to just recognize that when you bring a group of people and bring them into a location where there is an established group of people, there's always going to be friction. Let's take, for instance, the Italians. The Italians who came to the United States, through Ellis Island, they were treated extremely poorly by the Italians who were already here. They would literally, abuse them. They would not only talk bad about, they would treat them horribly. These are Italians who might have been first generation or second generation treating other Italians horribly. I mean, talk to an Italian, okay? They will tell you their own people treated them horribly. The Irish, when the Irish came to the United States, those people who were of Irish descent treated them horribly because they said, you guys are making us look bad. Even the Italians said the same thing. And this is historical count, so you're not alone. When you have a group of individuals that moves into a location with other individuals that would otherwise identify with them or should identify them, there's always going to be animosity. That's just how it is. Now, is that normal? Yeah. Is it fair? Probably not, but it is what it is. But the thing is, and you based on your own assessment, you have pointed out the fact that there's animosity directed towards you from other ethnic sub-Saharan African groups, okay? And that can be Caribbean, African American, whatever, until they find out you have Jamaican parents. And then they stop treating you like you're a foundational Black American. Now imagine being a Black American, an American Negro, a foundational Black American in your own country, and you have foreign black people not just talking disrespectful to you, but also locking you out of employment opportunities, locking you out of educational opportunities. Imagine that. Imagine if you and I went back to Jamaica, okay? All right, you and I went to Jamaica and I just, what is it, the Fruit of the Loom factory? I bought the damn Fruit of the Loom factory, and the only people I'm hiring, that's Haiti. But let's say I done bought the factory and I ain't hiring no Jamaicans. All these damn Jamaicans, they are not allowed to work for me. How would that make you feel as a Jamaican man in your country when some black person from another country come over there talking bad about you and locking you out of what should be rightfully theirs? How would that make you feel?
Well, it wouldn't make me feel pretty good. It wouldn't make me feel good at all.
Not at all. Now imagine if you put up with it for, what year is this? 1960. Imagine if you put up with it for 60 years. And then that 60th year, you say, you know what? We about to delineate from these mofos. They are not us. We are not them. We tired of them. We are tired of them. Would that be justified at that point?
Dennis, it would definitely be
y'all want to treat us different. Would treat us
Dennis,
different.
It would be justified, but there are other factors that played into it. You know that.
But we got to stop it. It was justified. You would understand, wouldn't you? I'm gonna delineate. Y'all already have delineated from us. You know what? Well, we gonna delineate from y'all too. But see, the problem is when Black Americans delineate, golly, that's the power base of what is Black people in the United States, because we own the property, we got the name, we got the reputation. These white folk over here already know that we will turn up. See, they can always tell Jamaicans, y'all can go home. Nigeria, you can take your black behind home. You Ghanaians, y'all can go back to Ghana or Wakanda or wherever the hell you from. They can't tell us that. Because see, here in the United States of America, we are the only non-immigrants. Okay, we're not immigrants, we're imports. Okay, and I know you got a lot of Black people out there on the internet saying, oh, you're indigenous. I don't believe that. I've looked at the DNA. You don't
believe that at all? You don't believe that there were Black people?
I know that there were, hold on. I know that there were Black people who were here.
Just asking.
Let me finish. I know there were Black people who were here before the slave trade started. I know about Abubakar II. I know he went down to Brazil and made his way up to the Dominican Republic and hung out in Sosua and got some women pregnant. I get all that. But the vast majority of what we call foundational Black Americans have intermixed, and there are Black people who have intermixed who are descendants of the African slave trade. You're not going to convince me otherwise. I understand the breeding farms. I understand the fact that we went from 400,000 to 4 million from 1808 to 1860 because it was a business, because Black women were incentivized to give birth to children because we needed to cut these trees and pick this cotton and pick this tobacco. Okay, and the white folks said, we're not going to get out there and do it. We need more niggers. Okay, so mammy, you better get busy. We'll give you 8 bushel of cotton and 2 mules if you give me 8 of them Negro babies. That's what happened. That's literally what happened. It's a horrible story, and I say it with just, but that is factual. That's why we had such an uptick. Anybody telling you that we just was here and we was walking around with feathers, look, let me tell you something about Native Americans. They don't run as fast as Jamaicans. Okay, it is that African DNA that has y'all winning these gold medals. You Black people out there, look at me very closely. It ain't no Native Americans in the NFL like that. The reason that we got all these fast running, high jumping, slam dunking, basketball shooting, 360-degree slam dunking Black people is because of that African DNA. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that. I know you don't like that, but the proof is in the pudding. If Native Americans had all this athleticism, okay, that these Black Americans had, they wouldn't be on the damn reservation. They'll be in mansions somewhere, living it. They'll be hanging out in Miami, and you will be on the reservation. All right, so cut it out. Stop trying to tell me you are not running that damn fast because a descendant of a North Asian migration came here 10,000 years ago. You are Black. You are Black and
make them not native.
Well, yeah. Well, Black people are native to the whole earth. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand that.
Down with that, and I'm even going to tell you that Black people were trading and coming back to the Yucatan and all over what we call the New World for centuries before white folk came here. I'm saying I'm okay with that. But what I'm not going to do is let you sit up here and convince me that I am a feather as opposed to a descendant of a West African slave trade. I'm not going to believe that. We run too fast for that. I look at can I please? I look at Negroes from Africa, from Nigeria, and I said that it looked just like my cousin Leon. You see what I'm saying?
No, you're right. You're right. There's some people there. I'm like, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Let's line up all the people that say they Native American, and we're gonna get some real Native Americans from the reservation, and we're gonna have a contest in basketball. All right, that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna see who wins. We're gonna see who can outrun who. We're gonna see who can qualify for the NFL and the NBA, and then you can tell me that you're Native American. Tell me that, okay? But I know I'm saying this in jest, but bro, I'm just.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the humor. So, but I get what you're saying, and again, I just wanted to just put that out there, just from my parents' experience and my experience. I appreciate everything you do. I don't want to hold you up too much.
You ain't holding me up, bro. This is a valid point. Basically, what you're saying is my parents weren't treated right when they got here by foundational Black Americans. They treat us like the other. And what I'm trying to do is say, hey, bro, look at my culture. Look at my foundational Black American culture. It was built for survival. The only reason that we have not gone the way of the Native American is because our culture has made sure that everything we do was meant for survival. The way we sing, the way we dance, the way we pray. You understand? They stripped us of our humanity. So what our soul music did was show the whole world just how humane we really were. They stripped us. They told us we weren't good enough. So we have had people who mastered the basketball court, the football field, literally geniuses, whether we're talking about the boardroom or the courtroom, or we're talking about the science lab. We had to show them that. Our culture tells us not only do we have to work hard, we have to work 2 times, 3 times as hard. This is that same culture. Our food, they gave us the worst part. Same thing in Jamaica, and we turned it into soul food. We made it into a living thing. We took the worst and made the best. So our survival culture is what this is. Do you know why they were talking bad about your mama and your daddy when they got here? Do you know why? I'm gonna help you understand. That's a component of our culture. Do you understand why?
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I get where you're going, but go ahead.
You tell me why. Go ahead. You said it. Tell me why.
I think it's a way of, it's no different when you're snapping on someone who looks different, but you're not doing it maliciously. You're doing it in jest. You're accepting them, but you're just like, you look funny.
No, that ain't it. Would you like me to tell you why that's part of the foundation of Black American culture?
Go ahead.
You see this, I'm not going to use a profane language, but you see this young melanin challenged individual who's out here walking around with a pew-pew, calling Black folk the N-word on Instagram. That was going on rampantly up until about 1970. You see what I mean? The reason that Black Americans cap on each other, the reason that we roast each other, is because the white man is going to do away with it. You had a grown-ass 60, 70-year-old Black man, they call him boy. The N-word was, some folk thought the N-word was their name. Everything was in there. You could look at some of the case law. The N-word was part of the case law. This racial epithet, this disrespect. So we had to toughen our people up. Your mama would talk worse about you than any white man. So by the time you got out your house, you had been called 32 MFers, 45 N-words, and a couple of SOBs to boot. And that's before breakfast. So by the time you got out into the world in some of these small towns in the South, it wasn't nothing the white man could say to you that your mama didn't say to you.
Saying this is training, he was training them,
brother. Because what? Let me tell you, my uncle. For you all who read my book, my Uncle Bob said, white men, if you turned up against some white folk, they would come slaughter your whole family. They call it culling the bad blood. If you had a Black person that did something to a white person, not only would they unalive you, they would come wipe out your whole family. Your whole family. So you had to be a lot tougher. You had to take those words. And the law said that there was nothing that a white man can do to you But basically, the black man had no law that a white man had to abide. So what happens when we get some new black immigrants to this country and they decide they want to buck up and speak back to these white folk for disrespecting them because they full of pride because they come from a country full of black people? Well, them white folk don't know the difference between your black skin and this black man from Alabama. You just another N-word. And so you get out there and get sensitive and you buck up. Guess what? We all get drug in. That was part of the survival culture. And one of the greatest disrespects that I think, I can speak on behalf of many foundational Black Americans, is for you all to say we don't have a culture. Capping, jawing, roasting each other, that's part of our culture because it's a survival technique because it toughened us up to these words. Little Ruby Bridges, the little girl Ruby Bridges, he had to walk through all those crazy white people speaking ill about her when she integrated that school in Little Rock. She wouldn't have survived. And other black people wouldn't have been able to go. Jackie Robinson, they roasted him something horrible. You see what I mean? Jesse Owens. These are all our great heroes. They will tell you when they were picking him to play baseball, they would say, look, man, we got to have the right to, it was Satchel Paige and some other people in the Negro Baseball League that were much better, but they didn't have the temperament to deal with that. So that's why they got him. You see what I mean, brother?
Yeah.
So you know what you're doing is you're misunderstanding a cultural adaptation for survival for personal district. They were doing you a favor. They were doing your parents a favor. They were calling you everything that them white folk would call you and worse, so that when you had to deal with it in the workplace, you wouldn't lose it. You understand what I'm saying? So you've been acculturated. They were trying to acculturate you. And look, it's ignorant, brother. It's ignorant as hell. Okay? Even the violence that we perpetuate on each other is ignorant. But do you know why we have survived as a group of people? As foundational, you know why we have survived? Because on one hand, you got your Martin Luther King, but on another hand, you got your Malcolm X. So if you don't listen to my peaceful brother, you're going to see me. Malcolm went down to Montgomery, Alabama. He went down and said, if it ain't a peaceful protest, I'm going to be, y'all do something to my people, I'm going to be back. The Deacons of Defense, Christian black men who took up arms, they were there at all of those civil rights meetings, those peaceful civil rights. They was right there with their pistols on them, fresh out the war. So there's always been that necessity. There's always been the capability to perpetuate violence to protect ourselves. They never talk about that in the history books. But that's why we're violent people. It's unfortunate that we've turned on ourselves, but violence is how this country was born. So just think about that, brother. I hope you know you can take that and just run with it, you know what I mean, and roll it up and smoke it and think on it over some time and process that. But you know, this is the culture, brother. This is the culture that has arose here in the United States, and it has allowed for us to survive.
Could I have you one more question? Because you mentioned the point. Did the 14th Amendment override the Dred Scott case?
The 14th Amendment, basically said you can't discriminate against people. Now you got the 5th Amendment that says the federal government couldn't discriminate. And then you got the 14th Amendment that says the states can't do it, and it personified it. You see what I mean? Now, case law is what typically overrides case law. And it was some time down after the road. I believe it wasn't Plessy versus Ferguson. I think it was Brown versus the Board of Education. I don't know why that's coming to my mind. I could be off. It's been so long since I looked at all those old cases. But typically it's case law, the interpretation of an amendment or a law that overrides. I have to look into that more particularly. But I think you pick up what I'm putting down. I think we clarify some things. So, you know, tell your parents, look, that's what black people do. We call each other worse names than that. I'm an African booty scratcher too. Yeah, we all have been called African booty scratchers.
Yeah, that term is so old, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, but we have all been called all the names that they call every immigrant to this country, every black American child before the age of
coconuts 7. For us.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's beside the point. But I get the gist, and I appreciate you just breaking that down.
Mm-hmm. God bless you, man. I appreciate that. Big up Jamaica, roster. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me cut that out, man. I'll talk to you later. Anyway, It's been, I'm tired. Okay, I've waited here for the critics to show up. I ain't really had no real critics. I'm tired. I've done my job today. You understand me? Shout out to everybody who came through. I believe it's yesterday. My girl came through, said nothing to what I got there. Shout out to Byron Gray, 387. Shout out to Miss Penelope. The ops may not be in here today because the title tower is good. Don't run away. You understand? Maybe must have forgot you represent the cold show this time of mine. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing because this is for posterity. This is history. Somebody's gonna pick this up. There's probably gonna be some white folks that's gonna pick this great idea up and say, "Hey, look, Negroes, I'm gonna run for president, and I'll give you reparations." And they're gonna come up with this idea, and y'all all gonna vote for me. It's a great idea, and y'all gonna forget me. But I'm okay with it as long as it gets done. Shout out to Hootsie324. Us, congratulations on your purple belt. Yeah, for you all don't know, this is my purple belt. I earned my purple belt in jiu-jitsu today. 4 years, 635 hours of jiu-jitsu. And I'm telling you, that's a lot of work, man. But shout out to Royal. And look, I still got a little time. Do we have any critics? Come on in. The link is in the chat room. If you want to come in. Mods, please put the link in the chat room. Who else we got here? My Royalness, he said, keep talking that red talk. These haters of American black men, mass respect to you from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you so much. Oh, we got one of my favorites up in here, man. Let me let this brother in here before I finish, but we'll come back and read these super chats. My man, Black Wall Street, what's happening, brother?
Oh, what's up, Unc? I'm at the Four Seasons watching you.
Oh, man, look, brother, what's this? Been a minute. Hey, man, it's good to have you in here. For you all who don't know, a lot of these brothers back in the day, I guess 2-3 years ago, I would have
turn that down, baby.
Podcast after podcast, and it would be me and 9, 10, 12 brothers in here chopping up, and this young brother is one of them. Black Wall Street, man, the name of this broadcast is Don't Run Now, and this is for my critics. Conversations that we have in here today, man. What would you like to add to the broadcast? Or maybe something you don't agree with, maybe it's something you do agree with, maybe it's something I have missed that you can address my critics or people who critique that they don't seem to understand. Whatever you want to do, the floor is yours, brother. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just calling to just thank you and give you your flowers before I send a donation.
Oh man,
I'm in total agreement with everything, and I'm about to read the books again. So I noticed you made a post about Malcolm X the other day, and I was just want to say that you exemplify everything what Malcolm X was teaching and what he wanted us to be.
Man, that's a great honor, and I'm humbled by that comparison. But I think that I have a role, just like we all have a role. And at this great big age that I'm at, I think I have an obligation to at least put some breadcrumbs in leading in the right direction for our people. You see what I mean? Now, I said something earlier, I want black people to be free. I want black people to have the right to return to Africa if they want to. And what I don't like is the current African government and the people putting up all these blockades for my people to be able to go back and pick up what they rightfully should have had: the land, the wealth, the freedom. I hear the stories. A lot of black people go back and say, man, I've never been somewhere where everybody looked like me. I don't have to deal with the racism. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to always fear these white folk coming back and taking everything. I know this is mighty interesting, and you're a very successful young brother yourself. It's mighty interesting. It seems like the higher a black man gets, the more he becomes targeted, and they try to strip him of his wealth. Did you know that whole thing about Sean Combs? Did you know the whole point of trying to convict him for that conspiracy was so that they, under RICO, you know what you get if you convince somebody, strip them, if you can convict somebody of RICO, what do you get under the RICO laws? What's the goal? What was the goal of the federal government? You got to unmute yourself, brother. And we talk about the RICO charges that Sean Combs was dealing with. Why was that such a disappointment? Black Wall Street, you got a mic up? You got to okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to get her to close the doors because she was in the shower.
No, the whole point. Why were they so disappointed that they couldn't get Sean Combs found guilty of those RICO charges?
Because of the amount of time that they wanted to sentence him to.
Nope.
Okay, well,
That
you got to
wasn't what
teach
it's
me.
about. So if you are convicted of RICO, a conspiracy, and your institution or your organization has conspired and commit these criminal acts, it's a criminal enterprise, they get to strip you of all your wealth. That's what that was about. You understand me?
Yes, sir. But I think they still did that though, because how much did he spend on the trial, Mr.
No,
Spurling?
that ain't, man. This brother's worth 700-800 million. That trial probably, those are minor charges. That's barely even a felony. I mean, he's gonna get paid. He's gonna have to pay more because he's a superstar. But you're looking at several million. The whole point was to convict him of a RICO charge so they can strip him of his wealth. And see, as a black man, you always have to deal with that here in the United States. Whether you're a Bill Cosby or a Sean Combs or a Sean Carter, nothing you have is permanent. They'll even try to steal your reputation from you. You see what I'm saying? So, my thing is, brother, we're not safe here. And if we don't know that after the summer of 1919, we'll never know it. See, here's what's going on, and I want you to understand something. We've had our great leaders say, well, we just need our own designated area here in the United States. Well, that's great. But what if these yahoos decide to get together and pack up their pickup trucks and invade it on the 4th of July? What are we going to do to stop them? Absolutely nothing. And so there is no safety for black folk here in the United States. And that's why I used to say early on, man, in you got to have an exit plan. You got to raise on up out of here. You're not safe. You or your wealth or your children. And if they don't get you, guess what? They're going to go after your kids. So we need to have an option, a viable option where we can return back to from whence we came. And I want black people to be able to go back to Africa. And I don't want all this red tape. And I don't want them to go back there broke. Give us our land back. Give us the land and everything beneath it so we can participate in the global market. We can deal with it. We can do what we can, man, give us back what we would have had you not helped these white folks steal us and sell us over here. You see, that's where I'm at, brother. And I believe in, like I said, negotiating from a position of power. And that's why I said, well, let's hold this reparations over their head. But Black Wall Street, I'm going to let you go ahead and wrap this up with a few more things to say. And I'm going to go back to reading these super chats, brother. Go ahead. What else would you like to add?
I would like to add that it's no reason that we should act any other way other than ourselves. I think that us as foundational Black Americans, we have everything we need at home, and that we continue to work to become the best version of ourselves and work together, we can make a heaven on earth for Black men here at home. Mm-hmm. And there's no reason for us to travel to any other country to find paradise.
Well, that's a very noble and idealistic thing to think, but you still got them devils knocking at your door. And so until we get rid of them devils, we're never going to have peace in this country. And that's just it. Our ancestors built so much after slavery, and it was all torn down and taken from them. There's the richest county in Georgia right now. If you look at the history of it, it was Black people that owned that land before white folk got jealous and came in and ran them up out of there. They took their businesses, they took their land. They would wrap a bundle of sticks and put it on a Black man or a Black family's porch. And what that symbolizes, if you're not out of here, this is gonna be dynamite the next time. And so that's what really happened. You see what I mean?
So, Mr. Spurling,
yes, sir.
Why did Black people fight so hard for integration then? If we knew what had happened to us.
I think, first of all, I don't think it was all Black people that wanted integration. I think Black people wanted to be treated fairly. I think Black people wanted equal accommodations. And what ended up happening was, and when you make a deal with the devil, you're going to get the devil's due. So we were looking for sugar and they slid salt in it. Because what happened after integration is that all the Black businesses, the bus lines, the companies, the hotels, either they got ran out of business or they got bought out by white folk, and Black folk began to patronize them. As soon as they could buy the white man's ice, they did. And that has a lot more to do with self-hate, you see, and want what the white man has, and white man's products are better. And that's something that's a cultural aspect, that's a hangover from slavery and colonialism. The truth is, black man, we don't love ourselves enough. I don't want to get sidetracked from this conversation, but we have some issues. And it's not just black people here in the United States, and it's not just black people in general across the world. Latinos have some serious self-hate issues. People in the South Pacific, those Indonesians, they have some serious self-hate. Look at the Indians. Look at all these MAGA Indians right now. These people are they thought that white folk would accept them because of their education and because, hey, you know what? We don't like those N-words as much as you. Let me show you how prejudiced we can be towards them. And now they're getting a wake-up call. You see what I'm saying? So the thing that white folk have brought to this world is a lot of self-hate for black people and people of color or brown people throughout the earth. And that's just something that, if we let them do that, these little small percentage of people, we let them do that, that's our own damn fault, but we got to get over it. But Black Wall Street, brother, go ahead, brother, and then we're going to...
Last thing I was going to say, how long do you think it's going to be before we come back to our original selves, since that drugs and integration destroyed the economic independence for the black man and black woman in the wilderness of North America? So how long you think it's going to be before we get back to Black Wall Street?
Away from the people that put the drugs in our community? But thank you so much, brother. God bless you. I appreciate you, Black Wall Street. Always good to see you, man. You got that clean line, too. You got that Boosie fade popping. Shout out to you. Anyway, I'm going to talk to you later, brother. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. So we ain't really get a whole lot of critics up in here. We got a lot of people in here. Good folk, good conversation. Shout out to Wayne Lundy. He said, I follow your wisdom. First things first, my sons need more of this energy. Salute, applaud, and truly appreciate the message. Thank you so much, family. Who else we got up in here? Miss Penelope, thank you so much, sweetheart. These Euro chicks operate under the whole different type of trick. Thank Lock Profits, Oak Cliff, Texas, showing love for FBA community. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Drew G007, the panel guest should know the history of Freedman Bank when whites managed our cash and stole what they sure did. They sure did. And also, Dharma Warrior, congrats to you and your son on the purple belt. How long did it take? Man, it took me 4 years in about 2 months and 635 visits. The crazy part is when I got my blue belt, I had about 200 visits. It took me about 400 hours of rolling, which is about anywhere from 8 to 10 times a week. So basically, I had a part-time job. You understand me? I had a part-time job doing jujitsu, and that's where I'm at now to get my purple belt. But thank you so much, family, and shout out to you for that. Where are the MF for critics? The critics didn't really come through. They didn't really show up. I'm disappointed. I'm not gonna do this all the time, but you know, I gave you a chance to come air it out. A lot of people had some things to say, and we got that information out there. So if you want to fight with these in the comments section, go right on ahead. Dharma Warrior, we used to laugh at Africans and call them African beef scratch, etc. And I think that's the part why they feel the way they do towards the TBH. Well, look, man, little black folks talk bad about everybody. I don't know. I mean, if you went to elementary school in a black community, you got roasted, right? Didn't you? So, you know, it is what it is. That's just part of our culture, and I explained that a little earlier. Shout out to Carlton Ward Jr. Shout out from Riverside, brother, wherever admiration isn't present, fear will suffice. Third year of being the bad guy, and the respect is still strong. Thank you so much. Thanks all I do. Good looking out, brother. Well, anyway, family, I've done the best I could today. Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to everybody in the and this went a lot longer than I thought it was going to go. I figured we'd be talking about an hour or so, but it went a whole lot longer than I thought. I hope that those of you all who have criticisms and critiques, I talked extensively about my position on reparations. The truth is, family, and I wish I had somebody in here who was more abreast of my position on reparations. A lot of people said, well, we want to sue the American government and get reparations. And my question to you is, where is that money going to come from? It's going to come from the taxpayers of the United States, which is why this agreement is not very favorable amongst most Americans. Now, if we can threaten these African countries with reparations and billion-dollar and trillion-dollar judgments collectively, I don't see anybody, especially now with the delineation movement, I don't see anybody jumping up to protect them that's going to have the political power that we have. And it might be our last chance to get it. But if we're doing it for the whole point and purpose of being able to hold leverage over these successor states and say, hey, either you give us our reparations in cash or you clear the path so that we can repatriate those who want to move back to Africa to do that. And that goes, and that's something that in the Caribbean people and the people in South America and Central America who are descendants of the African slave trade or victims of the African slave trade, they can follow suit. And it makes sense because it's what Black Americans have led the way on these things for centuries. But that's my whole plan. And it has always been my plan. Okay, that's my biggest critic. And I get that from a lot of Africans. You all, on one hand, Africans say, well, you're not our brothers. So when we sold the people who were captured and put on, you want our brothers and sisters, we weren't the same people. But then you're angry when we delineate. You got to make up your mind. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, we sold you all because you weren't our people. But then when you come to the United States, you're angry because we're delineating and saying, no, you all are Africans or Nigerians or Congolese or Ghanaians, and we are foundational Black Americans, term that used to be American Negro. You can't say that. You're gonna have to pick a side. You're gonna have to pick a puddle and step in it. Okay? All right, that's what you got to do. And again, as I said before, I think it's a viable option. I think we could get a president, an American president, and plenty of white folk to say, yeah, these N-words want reparations and they're going to get it from Africa. Hell yeah. But keeping in mind, the whole point is to use that as leverage. Now, again, if we're able to get some judgments and get some money, by all means, go right on ahead. But the idea that it might happen, the idea that the American government with its judicial system, with its financial connections around the world, will be able to enforce that type of judgment is enough threat that they'll say, no, they could bankrupt us for another 200-300 years if so maybe there's another way we can work out. It's a simple plan. It's not complicated. And it's unfortunate that I have to keep explaining this to people. And it's unfortunate that I have so many Black people who are against it because, but that just lets me know that you don't want to see us succeed. It's just jealousy. But other than that, ladies, good to have you all here. Brothers, good to have you here. I guess I've enjoyed this. It's good talking to these other folks. We'll be back to the regular schedule type broadcast. We're going to talk about some history, going to up things. We're going to keep educating ourselves, and we're going to do the best I can to be the best people we can be. But shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And as I always said this time, this is Uncle D, and I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.